Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Respected guests, esteemed speakers, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all of you. On the behalf of the organizers, it gives me immense pleasure to warmly welcome you all to this highly significant international workshop on quality assurance and university ranking being organized at COMSTECH Secretariat Islamabad. We are honored to have with us uh, Coordinator General COMSTECH, His Excellency Professor Dr. Iqbal Chaudhary, leading experts, vice chancellors, directors of quality enhancement cells, and stakeholders from across the OIC member states. Here I am pleased to share that this international event is being attended by more than 500 participants from 27 countries and more than 300 institutions. This gathering reflects a collective commitment to enhancing the quality, relevance, and global competitiveness of higher education in our region. The formal proceeding is hereby started with the recitation of Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان. والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah, mashallah. Now we request Professor Dr. Sayyid Javed Khurshid, Consultant COMSTECH, for introduction of the workshop.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Professor Dr. Iqbal Chaudhary, Coordinator General OIC COMSTECH, Dr. Sayyida Basim Sahiba, Chairperson, Pakistan Education Institute Authority, Dr. Shahid Beg, Advisor COMSTECH, Dr. Mustafa Noor, Focal Person, and dear participants. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the International Workshop on Quality Assurance and University Ranking. Over the next 2 days, July 2nd and 3rd, we will be exploring ways to strengthen quality assurance networks in our university. Hosted here in the Islamabad by Science, Technology and Innovation Policy Center 6 of COMSTECH. This workshop is timely opportunity for us to discuss a roadmap for excellence achieving SDG 4. Let's get started on this journey to elevate the quality of education in our institutions. In today's rapidly evolving higher education landscape, ensuring quality and excellence in academic institutions has become a paramount concern. Right. The increasing importance of the university ranking in shaping institutional reputation and global standing has further underscored the need for robust quality assurance mechanisms. Against the backdrop, we are pleased to announce the two-day hybrid international workshop on quality assurance and university ranking. Initially, this workshop was planned for the consortium, consortium universities, which are like 90, but due to overwhelming importance of the universities, we have to extend upon invitation. And we are guided by the coordinator general that we should extend this invitation to all other universities. Now, 40 universities are participating physically and 460 participants from 31 countries registered online. This workshop aims to bring together experts, policymakers, and stakeholders from around the world, especially from OIC member states, to share their expertise, insights, and best practice experience in quality assurance and university ranking. Over to 2 days, participants will engage in thought-provoking discussions, interactive sessions, and expert presentations, exploring the latest trends, challenges, and opportunities in the critical area. Explore the impact of university ranking on institutional reputation and global standing. Share best practice in quality assurance and ranking methods. Network with peers and establish collaboration with international experts and institutions. By fostering a deeper understanding of the quality assurance and university ranking, this workshop seeks to contribute to the development of more effective and sustainable quality assurance mechanisms, ultimately enhancing the quality reputation of higher education in institutes, particularly in OIC countries. Workshop objective is to provide a platform for sharing best practices in quality assurance and university ranking, to explore the latest trends and challenges in quality assurance and ranking, to foster collaboration and networking among participants from diverse backgrounds and institutes, to contribute to the development of more effective quality assurance mechanisms in higher education, thus achieving SDG 4, quality education for all, which Pakistan is defined in a category. Recently, a report came in, and Pakistan is defined as the major challenges remain untapped. It is a report, Sustainable Development, came from the European countries. We look forward to the outcomes of this exciting and informative event. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and we are really honored with the kind presence of Dr. Saida Ziabatul, who is a reputed expert on quality assurance, and she has been the pioneer of the quality assurance division at Higher Education Commission Pakistan, and she is assisting a lot to COMSTECH in improving the ranking of the universities across the Islamic world. Now I would request her to share her brief remarks. Professor Dr. Saida Ziabatul.
Honorable Professor Dr. Balsawati, Dr. Saab, and all honorable guests and academicians from leading universities of Pakistan and emerging universities of Pakistan as well, and a great audience from all member states who are present with us online today. We have an overwhelming response of this international workshop on quality assurance and ranking. The key point about this international workshop under the legendary supervision and guidance of Professor Dr. Iqbal Chaudhry, we are trying to build a narrative that ranking is just a component of overall improvement of quality in the universities of all member states of OIC countries. So our focus is on improving the quality of graduates that is directly linked and it has a direct correlation as per all international researches on this aspect that quality of graduates is directly linked with the quality of the teaching and learning experience of students in the universities. So our broader aim and goal is to improve the quality of universities and the quality of graduates to give them equal opportunity in the international job market and to facilitate the faculty and student exchange programs across borders. And we want a better reflection as a component of this overall campaign of quality assurance and improvement in the member states. The important aspect and final outcome of this exercise and this international workshop and series of workshops, which will be followed by this workshop, is to improve the global visibility of the universities of the member states. Still, we have a long journey to cover, so we will be working continuously under the umbrella of COMSTECH and under the supervision and leadership of Professor Dr. Iqbal Chaudhry Sahab to improve the ranks of the universities of member states across borders. We have to improve the global visibility of the universities of all OIC countries, including Pakistan and our MENA region, our Gulf region, all regions of the member states to get good ranks in the QS ranking and Times Higher Education ranking primarily and other rankings as well. This is very timely organization of this workshop, while QS and Times Higher Education has just recently announced the recent ranking of the universities. In few of the countries, we could observe the improving trend, but in other countries, the situation is still as previous. So more than 50% of the universities of the member states are still not represented in the international ranking. So that's our goal. We have to achieve that with our collaborative efforts, with the efforts of all of you. And this will also be a platform to share good practices of each university. And the Pakistani experience of improving the rankings during the last decade with other countries and with the international audience as well. So thank you very much for joining us in this international workshop. I'm so grateful to the international participants as well that they have joined us on a short notice. And we have a great representation of all member states in this international workshop. And I hope this will continue during the day 1 and day 2 as well with the hands-on experience and exercises as well to share your good practices and to align your good practices with the other countries and other universities as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sabha, for your continued cooperation and support, especially for improving the ranking of the universities from the Islamic world. Now I would request His Excellency Professor Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry, whose patronage and supervision made this event possible, for formal welcome remarks. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum and very good morning. Also good afternoon. I think we have already 170 participants and I'll tell you this is a blockbuster. Now, first day debut of a wonderful Hollywood movie, as exciting as you can think. You know, think of, as my colleague Dr. Murtaza mentioned, 30 odd countries, about 400 participants, which I'm sure they would gradually join us because canvas of COMSTECH is really very tall. You know, if you look into the time frame and the member states in South America, Guyana, Suriname, you're actually talking about 9 hours time difference. So they're already in the middle of the night. And then if you have in the east, Indonesia all the way to Timor and Papua, you're talking about 3 hours plus. So it is a time frame of over 13 hours within this vast land of Muslims. of 57 countries and about 2 billion population, was one-fourth of humanity. See, my colleagues, Muzanur, Professor Dr. Javed Khurshid, yes, Professor Dr. Saida Zia Batul has already mentioned uh, enough about the importance of rankings and equality assurance. And my comment would perhaps be a bit more general. So I really feel that if there is a crisis in hand, it's a crisis of quality, to be honest. Uh, Ranking is just a reflection, maybe not very true reflection. And I'm sure that Dr. Zia Batul will mention to you about the pitfalls, drawbacks, bottlenecks, and weaknesses of the current ranking system, which doesn't really reflect the actual quality and values of education. So if there is a crisis, there is a crisis of quality. Uh, what has happened historically is a legacy of colonial power. And I mentioned that earlier also. You know, when the Muslim lands were colonized, almost 95% of them, with the exception of two countries, all 57 countries were colonized uh, between 15th to 19th century. The first thing colonial power they had done, you know, French, Spanish, Portuguese, British and German, they quickly dismantled the education system which was in existence. And it was a pretty good system, you know, it was not really bad. You know, it was producing Sina, Jabir bin Hayyan, it was producing Al-Farabi, it was producing uh, Ibn Sina and others. So you just think Biruni and others. It was a pretty decent system, and also it was linked with two very important aspects, and there was socio-economic development. Uh, and if you look into the statistics, the contribution of United Pakistan, India subcontinent in global GDP was more than 30%. More than 30%. So in terms of socio-economic development, relevance, and value, I'll tell you value, you know. In the long period of golden age of Islam, the entire scientific development, educational and technological progress made, none of them was for harming the humanity. It was for troubleshooting, it was solving problems, and it was for a basic fundamental principle of ilm nafi, knowledge with benefit. And what you see today is absolutely different. The colonial power, the first thing they have done, quickly and promptly dismantled our existing system, which was quite decent system for education, relevant to the need of the people, and brought their own version of education. And always remember Lord Macaulay. He was the one who, in House of Lords, said, you know, English has to be imposed because if we do not really teach English, we'll not be able to create a generation of uh, public servants, you know, who serve the British colonial power. And then his theory of supremacy of their education system, reflected from one sentence from his famous speech. He said the entire education, knowledge base in British India is less than the books present in the library of a shelf of a library of a village. You know, this was his mentality, and that was the mentality of the colonial power. As a result of it, what they have created, universities, colleges, and schools, which are number two version of their education system. Absolutely poor version of their education. You accept it or not, the fact is that we are just so far away from Cambridge, Oxford, and MIT. You know, we may think of ranking of between 500 and 1,000. The fact is that just we are so far behind because the education system which was inculcated in our land was fundamentally flawed by three important accounts. There was a major disconnect between the societal need and the education system, which was developed because it was developed for a different purpose. It was developed to generate and train a servant for colonial power. Second, it is value neutral. You know, it doesn't really produce the basic two important tenets of Islam. You know, the fundamental objective of our religion is tarbiyah. And there is absolutely no translation of tarbiyah. You find it one. The training is absolutely no translation of tarbiyah. Tarbiyah is holistic, social, mental, physical, you know, economic, whole personality development which link with society. And second, it's eventually as a result of it, of a tarbiyah, you develop this wisdom. And that wisdom is absolutely, completely missing. And that is the reason that our system has been far behind from their system because we have lost our values and we have created values which are not our own. And third is education in our system of medicine, in our system is fundamentally value neutral. We cannot be value neutral. We have to create knowledge which benefits. You know, today you look into climate change. You know, as a result of a linear industrial development, which is completely wasteful, which produces less from more, we created an industrial paradigm which is completely wasteful. As a result of it, what is generated is a system in which resources are being used absolutely indefinitely as if they are infinite in nature. And everything is polluted. So and then weapon of mass destruction, these are not our invention at all. And then using them for supremacy and hegemony. That was a fundamental principle of Western education. I'm sure that you would reflect upon it. These are extremely important aspects of what education system we wish to create. But I want to take you briefly of what future universities would look like. I was reading a report, and that report was compiled by McKinsey report for future, and that says three fundamental requirements. It says that universities would have to teach and train centennial generation. The children born in last 10 years will have a productive life of about 80 and a lifespan exceeding 100 years of age. You know, life expectancy in many countries of the world already exceeds 80 years, including Japan and Scandinavia. It's going to exceed 100 years and more. So people would be staying longer, healthier, and productive for a long period of time. And that is a very different paradigm. It means fundamentally universities are training today. This would be good enough for the first job, but then they have to come back at least 3 times to the university, whatever the future universities would look like. They have to de-learn and relearn. They have to unlearn what they have learned and to relearn. So the whole education paradigm has to be changed in a way that we should be able to produce flexibility, adaptability. Future skills would not be a strong concept of subject, which we give them today, and we think that this would be enough for them to survive for a long period of time. Fundamentally, they would need more of soft skills and flexibility. They should be able to change their profession and field when and where required. And Yuval Harari, in his book called 21 Lessons for 21st Century, says that future generations, each one of them, would not really build castles based on their required knowledge. They would be nomads in the desert, where they would carry a tent on their shoulders and will place it wherever it is necessary, which primarily means that they should be able to adopt to this absolutely dizzying pace of technological development and knowledge growth. And that requires universities to actually adopt a very different system of bringing these graduates back to university. Some of them would come at the age of 75, all predictions say. It means that you would be actually teaching them a far more different thing which they have learned at the age of 25, 50 years later. Second is that there is a demographic winter in some part of the world. Global North is depopulating. There is a major depopulation. The world population would increase for another 20 years and there would be a steep decline in global population. The fertility rate in about 70% of the world is already stabilized and some countries is already declined. What is the replacement rate? 2.1. And many countries of Scandinavia, as well as Japan, Russia, Korea, and China, the fertility rate is less than 1.6, which means that population would actually decrease very steeply in some part of it. Of course, will remain very productive, and including countries like Nigeria and some extent India as well, but Indian population is predicted to be stabilized by 2040. By the turn of the century, the population of China would be only 600 million, half of the current population. Scandinavia would have about 32% population decline. It means aging population and two important implications. We need to train our graduates for this demographic winter. We need to train our graduates for this huge population vacuum which is going to be created in half the world. We need to train them to become caregivers. At the same time, we need to train them to become innovators because as the aging population, the innovation potential will decrease fastly. As a result of it, innovation will be relocated to our land. And we need to prepare our generation for the relocation of innovation center. So, the whole paradigm of education is going to change in a way that it would really look stranger than fiction. And that is where we need to think very profoundly what future university could look like. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request all the honorable participants, we should go outside for a group photo and then there would be 15 minutes tea break. So our volunteers will join, will guide you about it.
Assalamualaikum, very good morning, good afternoon. My immense honor and clear to moderate the session. very important session, very important workshop, quality assurance in the university ranking. We welcome all the participants who are present here in person. More than 185 participants from 47 countries who are online. So it's so heartening and refreshing to have such a galaxy of participants and resource persons and speakers in this house today. So let me introduce the first speaker, first resource person of today. It's my pleasant duty to introduce Dr. Sayyida Zia Batul. She is currently serving as chairperson, Private Educational Institutions Regulatory Authority, PIRA. She is former DG of HEC and lead quality assurance policy development for more than 15 years, and she has over more than 2 decades of experience working with the quality assurance and university ranking, accreditation, etc. She's also former DG of Punjab Higher Education Commission. She developed KPIs for universities of OIC countries through ISESCO. She is internationally recognized for quality assurance and ranking. She is board member of APQN and she was elected. This position is by election. I can go on and on introducing her, but I'll not take much time and I will not stay between you and our worthy speaker. You will enjoy her experience, which she will share with you, and how to assure the quality assurance and improve the university rank. So, madam, it's over to you. And after this task, it will be an interactive session. You will be given ample opportunity to ask questions and interact.
So thank you. And once again, a warm welcome to all the participants from leading universities and emerging universities of Pakistan and my dear colleagues and academicians from different universities of the country. And a warm welcome to our international participants who are participating from different countries, from different zones of time, and they are joining us. So neither I can say you good morning nor to good evening because it's all from morning to good night, as Dr. Iqbal Chaudhary has said in his opening remarks that we have participants from across the globe and all OIC countries as well and member states as well. So overwhelming response to this international conference on ranking and quality assurance reflects that how important is topic of today. The quality assurance is an overall phenomena that has different outcomes and different factors and different dimensions. The most important one is to get good global visibility, that is in the form of ranking. So we will start this presentation. The part 1 will cover the quality assurance and quality enhancement practices. And I will be primarily depending upon the examples of Pakistan, because the recent decades experience of Pakistan is fully recognized by the international agencies, including the recent report of the World Bank as well and UNESCO as well. They have recognized that Pakistan has shown unprecedented growth during the past years in the higher education. So that is a complete transformation process which has been initiated here. So it is quite justifiable to quote the example of Pakistan as one of the good practices to be shared with the participants of this international workshop and our participants from the other countries. So as far as the key challenges in the higher education are concerned, these 3 key challenges, the quality, access, and relevance, these remain common across the globe. In all developing countries, in the member states of OIC countries and other countries as well, we almost face the same 3 challenges, the quality, access, and relevance in the higher education sector. Quality refers to the standards of education, faculty, and research. The access refers to the enrollment in higher education, and relevance is referring to the addressing the needs of the socio-economic development of Pakistan over here, because we are quoting the example of Pakistan, but any of the country is also relevant with this example. So financing, growth, and change, these are the core areas which are relevant with these challenges. Our next point on this presentation is the quality assurance, because it is the most critical challenge. We have quoted over here three challenges: the access, relevance, and quality. Quality assurance is considered the most critical challenge, and today's presentation and our ranking is linked with it, with the quality assurance, because quality assurance, why it is important. So this question may come to everyone's mind. So I would like to explain it, that the most critical challenge affecting graduate quality is the quality, because the outcome of the university's whole activity, the academic activity, the teaching, the research, financing, infrastructure, research resources, human resources, physical resources, financial resources, everything is aimed on the quality of the graduate. So their quality is the critical challenge, and we need to focus on that if we want to have the quality graduates in the market compatible with the international standards. Quality assurance is defined in different ways, but we will quote over here the most commonly used definition of the quality assurance. Quality is the means through which an institution can guarantee with confidence and certainty that the standards of its educational provision are being maintained and enhanced. So when you see enhanced over here, so it shows that it is a continuous process of improvement. So every time you have to maintain the quality standard, and you have to make continuous efforts to keep it enhanced in the continuous way. Quality assurance is a systematic process that ensures educational services and processes meet or exceed established quality standards. So that quality assurance system is to ensure that quality is being maintained in the educational institutions of all the countries. So quality assurance has to be improved in all ways. There are strategic aims which are responding to this challenge of the quality and the challenges of access and relevance. The core strategic aims are faculty development, improving access and learning, excellence in research, relevance to national priorities. So the quality assurance, these are the support items over here, the strategic aims, quality assurance, which is referring to the again standards, assessment, and accreditation. Good governance and management is also one of the support strategic aim over here to address these challenges, the main three key challenges of the higher education. Infrastructure development, physical and technological both, especially in this era of artificial intelligence, when our systems are going to be dependent on the artificial intelligence. In that perspective, the infrastructure development, not only physical, but the technological, is also very important. And for the fields of technological education and professional education, we have to make advancements in the technological field as well. Now we are heading towards that how quality assurance leading to improved ranking. This is Pakistani context. It will be shared as one of the good examples with all other countries. My colleagues who are attending this part of this international conference and workshop physically, who are present in this house, they must be already familiar with these practices, but these are primarily to address the queries and the curiosity of the international participants, that how Pakistan has made such a great progress in the field of ranking, to improve the ranking and to maintain a quality assurance system. So our broader goal, our broader aim is to improve the quality. So that will be leading towards ranking. How it leads, so now we will share those practices with all the participants. Strategies for quality enhancement, these are internationally known strategies. Many of the countries are practicing these, and each country may be at different stage of development of these strategies and implementation of these strategies. So the difference will only be on which stage you are. These strategies remain common. Pakistan has also used the same strategies for quality enhancement. Number one is sensitizing the academia for quality assurance. So if you talk about at the time of the establishment of Higher Education Commission in 2002, so it's more than 2 decades ago when the Higher Education Commission was established. It was actually the transformation of the University Grants Commission, UGC. which is common in all other Commonwealth countries as well, like India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. They also have the University Grants Commission. Pakistan also had previously a University Grants Commission, which was primarily performing the task of only transferring the financial funding received from the government to the university. So you can see the progress which Pakistan has made after establishment of the Higher Education Commission is reflected from the statistics, and it is empirically proven that only 46 universities were there in 2002. Now this number has exceeded 246 in Pakistan. So this is a tremendous growth of establishment of the universities in Pakistan, establishment of the higher education institutions in Pakistan, maintaining the standards, not only maintaining the standards, but improving the standards continuously. So while we will come to the ranking aspect, then we will also discuss that how the ranks of Pakistani universities are also being improved continuously over the past year. So these strategies, the first one was the sensitizing the academia for quality assurance. The first task to the Higher Education Commission in 2002, when I was also part of the Higher Education Commission, was to sensitize the academia for quality assurance. There was no concept of dedicated office for the quality enhancement cell, which we established lately, and there was no concept of dedicated efforts for the quality assurance, quality enhancement, and even to address the rankings, international rankings and international ratings as well. The second strategy which ACC has adopted, that was the development of quality assurance criteria and standards. Because the quality assurance system starts working once the establishment of standards is done. So we have focused on development of the quality assurance criteria and standards as well. And every country do that. They develop their foundation by developing the criteria and standards once they start working on the quality assurance and quality enhancement. The third strategy was development of processes and capacity building for the implementation. So the capacity building and development of the processes, it goes parallel, simultaneously. If you develop the system, you develop the criteria and standards, and then you ask the universities for implementation, they will be in a big trouble. They will be in a challenge because their capacity is not built simultaneously. So this is also responsibility of the relevant bodies. Like in Pakistan, the Higher Education Commission assumed that responsibility at that time and tried hard to build the capacity of the key focal persons of the universities to work within the university to implement these quality criteria and standards which were developed nationally. So this is also one of the good practice which we are sharing with other countries as well. And then finally, the last point over here in this slide is the monitoring and assessment. So once these systems are in place, the criteria are developed, the standards are developed, and the capacity is also simultaneously built within the universities to work these systems and to implement these criteria and standards, then comes the stage of the monitoring and assessment. This is also one of the tricky areas that do not start monitoring and assessment at the beginning. Because if we will be starting the monitoring and assessment at the very initial stage, then the universities will become more reluctant to adopt those criteria and those standards, and they will be in trouble to implement those standards and criteria as well. So we have to build their capacity as well. And once these things are in place, the systems are in place, then we can start the monitoring and assessment processes. These are not only to ensure that quality is being maintained, but to see that how quality can be continuously monitored and improved. Quality assurance management structure. Again, this is example of Pakistan, and other countries also have similar structure, but their names of the bodies are different. Like over here, national level body for the policy making in the quality assurance is the National Quality Assurance Committee of the Higher Education. That is a national level body which gives the policy direction for the higher education or regarding the quality assurance. And we have a quality assurance agency, QAA, that is at the HEC level. And then we have the quality assurance division, that is also the specific and dedicated division of the Higher Education Commission. In other countries, the names are different. The Higher Education Commission or the University Grants Commission also exists, and the national level bodies also exist. The university level bodies like quality enhancement cells over here quoted. The quality enhancement cells were established under the umbrella of this quality assurance agency. Ideally, like in UK, in Scotland, in developed countries, in USA, in European countries, this QA, Quality Assurance Agency, should be an independent body, an autonomous body. It should not be under the umbrella of the funding agency. Like in UK, you can see the QA UK, that is also Quality Assurance Agency, but an independent agency that is not under the control of Higher Education Funding Council, HEFI over there. So ideally, it should be independent, but in Pakistan, the circumstances and the stage of the development of higher education was not at that stage so mature that we could have established it independently. So it was established under the umbrella of the Higher Education Commission, and it has started working. Then the quality enhancement cells were established within the universities as independent units and dedicated and focused offices for making efforts for quality assurance and all aspects of quality assurance, including self-assessment, including program assessment, and including making efforts for the ranking, submission of the ranking form. So these are the broader structure of Pakistan. The functional setup for the quality assurance is, I have already explained this to you, that the Higher Education Commission, the Quality Assurance Committee, the QA, QEC, Accreditation Council, and Quality Assurance Division. One of the greatest improvement in the accreditation system as well, I would like to quote over here as one of the good practices from Pakistan. The accreditation councils exist across the globe in professional fields primarily. In Pakistan as well, the Pakistan Engineering Council, Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, and other councils were already existing prior to the establishment of Higher Education Commission, or you can say the transformation of UGC to HEC, to Higher Education Commission. These councils in the professional bodies were already existed. But what HEC has done, what Pakistan can quote as a good example, that we have established accreditation councils into those fields in which the accreditation councils were not existing. Like the business education was one of the fields in which there was a mushroom growth of the BBA institutions, the MBA institutions into every street, but there was no system of accreditation and there was no council for the business education. So HEC has established a business accreditation council, and then similarly in the field of agriculture, that was very important, but there was no accreditation council. So it was also established in the field of agriculture and in the field of education even, because the field of education is directly linked with the quality of the teachers, the quality of the faculty. So the accreditation council was also established in the field of education as well. So these councils, there are two kind of councils now in Pakistan. The councils which were existing primarily prior to the establishment of HEC are also working independently. Even the councils established by HEC are also working independently. They just follow the overall broader guidelines of national policies for the accreditation, but these councils are working independently. Another important council was also established in the computer sciences field. So in IT and computer sciences, the accreditation council was established. So now these councils are working independently, and these are working for improvement of the quality of graduates in their professional field. Next, after this functional setup of QA, we have QA framework, three key stages, which not only in Pakistan, but in other developing countries, this was also followed. The developing QA and criteria and standards, this is a national level effort. All the governments of the developing countries, the governments and the higher education bodies of the member states of OIC countries, they have to make efforts to develop criteria and standards. The criteria and standards are present for every country, but these need periodic reviews and continuous improvement. So nothing is finalized in the field of criteria and standards and quality assurance. So you have to continue to make efforts to improve these standards and criteria as per international norms and as per global development. The stage two is developing the internal quality assurance IQA system that is at the university level. So first effort, the developing QA criteria and standards, that is to be made by the government and the relevant higher education bodies of the member states, like Pakistan has done. This effort was made by the Higher Education Commission. with the patronage from the government of Pakistan. The next stage is coming towards the university. So that is now to be done by the management of the university, by the assuring the good governance in the universities and the academic leadership of the universities. So this is responsibility of the internal system of the universities to strengthen their internal quality assurance system, that is IQA in Pakistan. This is being maintained and developed through the QEC, Quality Enhancement Cell. In other countries, these units at the university level exist. The names may be different, the nomenclature may be different, but the university level QA offices also exist in other countries as well. Now comes the straight three, that is now linked with our topic ranking as well. Developing external quality assurance, EQA system, improved global visibility and ranking. That is not only the international and institutional level, but it is also the international level as well. Like in engineering, in medical, you get an international accreditation as well. So there are professional bodies internationally working to give you international rank and the US ranking, the Times Higher Education ranking. And my further presentation will also elaborate a bit on the ranking models as well. So the third stage is developing external quality assurance system, the EQA system, that will also reflect on the improved global visibility. And this is also linked with the smooth faculty and students exchange. Because as much as your EQA system is strengthened, that will be easy for your students to move abroad for the higher education, for your faculty to seek jobs in other institutions, and for the higher education as well. And that will also ensure your global compatibility and competitiveness for the international job market as well. The IQA initiative, mainly in the university level, these are based on the self-assessment process, development and implementation of the self-assessment process. Its evidence is the establishment of the program, accrediting, auditing bodies, councils on need basis, whatever is the nomenclature in your country, you can develop program under self-assessment process or self-assessment reports. Outcome is the program ranking list by the respective councils, because these councils also rank their programs at least unofficially, or you can say that non-formally. They know and they have this data and empirical evidence that which program of which university is the best amongst all programs of that field of education. Next is our EQA, the self-assessment process, that is IQA system. This reflects the chart. Next slide. This is self-assessment process, the IQA system. Now you can see at the university level that it needs to be under the supervision, leadership, and patronage of the vice chancellor. So this is responsibility of the vice chancellor to first become sensitized and to give importance to the quality assurance. Because if your quality enhancement person is not giving the due respect and due status in the statutory bodies of the university and not working directly with the vice chancellor, the results will not be as good as you are expecting. So the vice chancellor has to assume the responsibility to lead this whole drive of the quality assurance or the development of the IQA system. Vice chancellor, then the QEC quality enhancement cell being part of the university, that should work directly with the vice chancellor, so that can report on different conditions of the programs being run by the university, the quality of the faculty, because the surveys of the students are also being compiled by the quality enhancement cell, and the responsible person over there, the quality assurance offices are most important offices in the universities if you want to gauge the quality of the graduates, the quality of the teaching learning facilities, and teaching learning experience of the students. Then come the program teams to assess the quality of the programs. The HODs and deans, they are also engaged, and then the assessment team. So this is a cycle we have to follow, and everyone is important. Every tier is important, and vice chancellor has to give patronage and support. Then we are coming towards the EQA initiative, the external quality assurance initiative. So this is the development of the accreditation systems, the program accreditation through the respective accreditation councils and bodies. As I have quoted the example of Pakistan, so similar is the case in other developing countries as well. Some of the councils are existing, some of the councils are yet to be established, and some of the councils are working well, really well. They have developed the standards in their field of education, and they are working to improve the quality of the program in that respective field. And some are yet behind, and they have to work hard to meet the international standards and to follow the global practices. But the accreditation system to be in place in all the countries. These are in place, but at different stages of development. Institutional performance evaluation is also very important. Pakistan has also started that as per international practices. But what we have done, we have established our own 11 standards of institutional performance evaluation, 11 IPEs we have established, and we have started working on those so that the continuous improvement in the universities and the teaching learning experience of the students can be observed. So we have developed our indigenous model by analyzing and by making research on all available international models of the developed countries and our national conditions, our national needs, and our national context as well. So I would request to all the international participants as well that once you are working on anything on quality assurance, on standards, on institutional performance evaluation, you need not to forget your national context. You have to keep your national context in your mind because every country is different. Every country's higher education priorities and needs are different, but the common challenges remain same. So we have to, without compromising on the national context, we have to meet the standards for the global compatibility, but you need to remain sensitized about your national context as well, as we have done in Pakistan. Regarding the EQA initiative, the primary responsibility was taken by the national bodies, the Higher Education Commission and Quality Assurance Agency. The evidence is institutional performance evaluation standards, as I have already quoted, that we are working on implementation of 11 performance evaluation standards, which are developed by Pakistan with as an indigenous model based on international practices, but without compromising on the national context. And the outcome is the periodic review report and international ranking list as well. The EQ initiatives, over here, you can see the list of the accreditation councils, Pakistan Engineering Council, Pakistan Bar Council, and Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, Pakistan Council for, next slide, Pakistan Dental Council and the Pakistan Pharmacy Council. So you can see a list of councils we have. Almost each and every subject is covered over here through the accreditation councils and accreditation bodies, so that the accreditation system should be in place to meet with the international standards and to get proper recognition of our qualification by the international accreditation bodies. Now, the second part of our presentation is explaining that how rankings leading towards continuous quality and now we are coming to the point which is very exciting point, particularly at this time when the Times Higher Education and QS has recently issued the latest ranking for 2026, and you can see the latest ranks of students. So this pyramid is very important, that how ranking systems work. Now you can relate my presentation that why I focus so much on the internal quality assurance and external quality assurance before coming to the point of ranking. This shows that the foundation of this pyramid is from the IQA, internal quality assurance. The growth and the development and enhancement and recognition, certification is linked with the EQA, the external quality assurance practices. And then at the top, you are able to get the final outcome of global visibility in the form of better rank. So ranking is linked with the global visibility, but to reach at that top, you have to look at how strong and how effective is your IQA base, internal quality assurance base, which is primarily located within the university, which is entirely the university's domain, and the university has to make efforts over there. The EQA area is linked with the national bodies as well, not only with the university. And that is also very important. And then we can be able to achieve the global visibility in the form of better rank. Significance of ranking. Even the critics of the rankings, you know that everyone is not convinced still to have ranking, and people have different views. Whenever the ranking comes, the critics also come in the field, and sometimes there is a criticism criticism on the ranking criteria. Sometimes there is a criticism on the ranking weights as well. That's why the weights and the criteria, these are continuously changing to some extent every year. But the significance of ranking still remains because this is one of very important source for the informed decision making by the parents, by the students, by the society, and by even the policy makers. Your funding agency. If your funding agency want to fund to the university, like in public sector universities, our public sector universities in Pakistan are entirely dependent on the funding given by the APC or by the government of Pakistan. Mostly in other developing countries as well, the public sector universities are dependent on the public sector funding. And those universities do not have the external financial resources and their own self-generated financial resources. So the rankings are also important for the policy. The significance of rankings providing knowledge and statistical data that is a huge key driver of the global competitiveness. So that also brings the global competitiveness and you can compare with the global standards and with the global educational institutions as well. It also provides global visibility to the universities to increase awareness of academic excellence and market value. Developing systems for data management and access to the data for informed decision making, as I have already mentioned, and motivation for enhanced educational quality and standards and expand research output and strengthen reputation. So that also gives value to your reputation and your effort towards reputation. So there are challenges in the pursuance of ranking as well, because being the developing country, we have the challenges in pursuance of the rankings as well. Pakistan is also facing these challenges. The other member states are also facing these challenges. And the universities of other developing countries are also facing these challenges to pursue ranking and to get better ranking. First one is the variation across ranking criteria worldwide. It varies because in Times Higher Education that is different, in US that is different, in Shanghai it is different, and in Guardian it is different. So there is a variance. Balancing quantitative and qualitative indicators, research output, citation, reading quality, teaching quality, these are also the factors which are required to be addressed. The availability of data on international outlook, that is also one of the greatest challenge for a country like Pakistan and for other similar countries as well, where law and order situations do not allow to get more international students. So whenever they wait for the international outlook and for the placement of international students, we have our limitations. Pakistan is one of the countries which is facing different challenges, interior challenges. That's why we cannot observe and we cannot submit a data in which many of the international students are placed in Pakistan. So that also gives a disadvantage and that also become a challenge for the developing countries like Pakistan, that many of the students from international regime are not studying in these countries. Law and order situation is, I have already mentioned, promoting universities in OIC member states. That is one of the challenge which is assumed by the COMSTECH. COMSTECH has decided to promote universities in the member OIC states, which is very important goal for the COMSTECH. This is also one of the challenge on which we are working through this series of the workshop. Then we come to the factors of the ranking, focusing on ranking criteria of commonly recognized models. So we will now come and we will narrow down our presentation and we will focus on the commonly used and recognized models of ranking. And our presentation will remain focused on those commonly used models and commonly recognized models of the ranking. Availability of data to be used for ranking. So we will be building the capacity of the universities to make that data available, and it should be available readily in the hand to be submitted timely for getting the ranking in the international ranking. Reliability and source of the ranking data, that is also a very important aspect. In Pakistan, what universities are being practicing now, they collect the data and the QEC, the responsible person for the quality enhancement cell. In other countries, my other colleagues, they may call it a quality assurance office. So in QA office, we have dedicated resource person over there who is responsible for reliability and authenticity of the data which is being collected from all the departments. And also responsible for availability of the data. So every university in every country need to have a dedicated office, a focused office to make efforts for submission of the data in timely manner, for collection of the data, and to ensure the reliability of the data. The weightage of the factors considered for ranking is also one of the major factor in the rankings, as I have already mentioned, that if we give more weightage to the international outlooks, then Pakistani universities and similar countries' universities will be at disadvantage. Capacity to submit accurate and validated data of the university is also one of the very important factors. Now we come to the commonly recognized ranking model. The QS and Times Higher Education World Universities ranking, which is the QS ranking and Times Higher Education is focusing on composite scores and reputational surveys as the main source, whereas the Shanghai Jiaotong's academic ranking of the world is focusing on research output and citation impact. Again, we cannot follow this Shanghai because we cannot get good ranks and good points over here in Shanghai Jiao because of focusing on research output and citation impact. Then becomes the Webometrics ranking of the world universities, which is primarily focusing on the volume, visibility, and impact of the web content. Now we are focusing on the QS and Times Higher Education. But why on the Times Higher Education and QS? The following principles are underlined which encourage us to follow the Times Higher Education and QS. Relevance of the ranking criteria and standards. This suits to the member state countries. This is relevant to the South Asian countries, to the developing countries as well. And these two rankings, the QS and Times Higher Education, are widely consulted, accepted, and recognized bodies. These are prominent and influential and leaders in ranking, and these are also continuously publishing their rank, not discontinued every year. Leaders in ranking and having global significance. So we will be focusing mainly on the Times Higher Education and QS Higher Education. Now come the situation analysis. That what is the situational analysis of the rankings at present? Underrepresentation of the universities in the global ranking. This is a fact for Pakistan and for other similar countries, for our member states as well. Among 57 OIC member states, only 29 states with 290 universities are visible globally, 2025 and 26 data. Approximately 51% of the OIC member states are represented, which is leaving 49% of the universities of member states unrepresented. Increase of 2% in the global visibility as compared to 2025. So if you look at the recent ranking, which is published for the 2026, 2% increase in the global ranking, you can observe. Pakistani universities, the QS ranking 2026, 18 universities, and Times Higher Education has reflections of 47. Absence of a structured platform for the collaboration, that is lack of focus on capacity and sharing of best practices. So this was one of the challenges which COMSTECH is now being addressing through this effort. That today we are sitting here, we are getting together to address this challenge, that how we have to structure a platform for the collaboration and how we have to work on capacity and sharing of best practices. So today we are doing exactly the same job, that we are sharing the best practices. We are trying to build the capacity by learning from each other's experience. The immediate need is collective action through developing QA framework and tailored capacity building program. So this workshop will also be followed by a series of the tailored workshop for the member states. Maybe in next month, we will be doing this kind of specialized workshop for the Bangladesh, because our colleagues from Bangladesh, they have requested to come to the Bangladesh and to work on the improvement of ranking of the Bangladesh university. So we will be working with them, and then subsequently we will be working with other member states as well. And simultaneously, this will continue, the effort will continue by the COMSTECH under the leadership of Professor Dr. Iqbal Chaudhry for other provinces as well. We will go to Sindh to focus on the universities in Sindh. We will go to Punjab to focus on the universities from Punjab to address their capacity gap and to build their capacity. The situation analysis, I have already discussed that 49% are still out of that. the lack of technical expertise for ranking participation that we will be addressing through these workshops, lack of participation in global rankings resulting in no visibility. So we will ensure that how you have to make this data available and how you have to make timely submissions for the ranking. So it's not always the case that you are not producing good quality and you could not get good marks, but actually the universities do not participate primarily in the global ranking. That's why remain unrepresented. So that is also one of the things which we need to address. Low ranks due to weak IQA systems and scores. That is also one of the challenges which we will be addressing through this series of the workshop. Weak data management in the context of ranking. That is also one of the challenges which Pakistan has also experienced and still experiencing. Some of the emerging universities. I'm not talking about the leading universities because in this house we are having participation from the leading universities as well, but their case is different from the emerging. Still, emerging universities are struggling with accuracy of the data and then compilation and submission of the data in timely manner. So if we come to the ranking criteria and methodology for the QS 2025, QS is focused on primarily these criteria and standards. Research and discovery gets 50% marks. So research and discovery, you can see how important is that 50% of the weightage is going for the research and discovery. Employability and outcomes is getting 20% of the weight. Global engagement is getting 15%. Learning experience is getting 10%, and sustainability is getting 5%. And then you can see the weightage or in the sub indicators as well. As far as the times higher education is concerned, so you can see that 29.5% is going to the teaching, the learning environment. Teaching is also one of the very important activities of the universities. The quality of teachers is considered to be the nucleus of the whole academic world. The research environment is getting 29% weight in the times higher education. Research quality is getting 30%. So research environment and research quality are both linked. If you can see over here, again, the research is getting 59. If you can see the cumulative of 29 and 30, that will become 50, 59. And in QS, you have already seen the research and discovery was getting 50% weight. So almost similar weights are given to the research environment, research quality and discovery. Industry is getting 4% of the weight and international outlook is getting 7.5%. Current ranks of the locally participating universities, if you see the locally participating universities, over here you can see your rank. And I am pleased to see that this year, slightly improved ranking of Pakistani universities. You can see over here. So, but still a long journey to go. We have to improve the ranks of all the universities, not only the leading universities like Qaid-e-Azam, NAS, Punjab University, and other specialized institutions and COMSTECH. We have to improve the ranks of all the universities. So still, we have to make a lot of effort that every university of Pakistan, not only Pakistan, but under the umbrella of COMSTECH, every university of every member state is participating in the global ranking and getting good ranks. So we are working, we have started working, and we will be working still getting the good reflections in the global ranking, or especially the Times Higher Education and QS ranking. Now we come to the alternate strategies to improve ranks, that is investment in weak attributes. This is for the universities, a food for thought for the universities, attract and retain qualified faculty. Because faculty, as I have already said, that the backbone of the whole academic activity in the university. Continuous professional development of the faculty. That is also one of the area which we need to focus. Sign agreements and partnerships with the international. That also brings you the international synergy. Enhance research productivity in the form of publications, patent registration, and innovations. Your ORIC office should be activated and should perform its functions to improve the research productivity. Collaborative efforts are concerned to creating synergies through group formation, enhancing cross-border mobility through student and faculty exchange programs, then networking and sharing of good practices. That is also one of the alternate strategies to improve ranking. The anticipated outcomes of these all efforts will be improved standards of universities in member states. As I have already mentioned, that our primary goal, our broader goal is to improve the standards of universities. in the member states in all terms, attracting students and faculty from other regions and providing opportunities to students for higher quality education within OIC region. Then enhanced participation in the global ranking is also one of the objectives. The improved visibility of universities, as I have already not only shown the commitment from the COMSTECH platform that we will be working hard to improve the global visibility of the universities in the member states. The increased collaboration is also one of the outcome of the series of the workshops to increase collaboration between the member states. That will also become a collaboration from university to university level at the later stage. Right now, it is from the platform of the COMSTECH at the broader level. Greater cross-border mobility, that will also facilitate our students to move freely from one member state to the other member state and to the other regions as well. Informed decision-making at all levels is also the final outcome for the parents, for the students, for the policymakers, for the administrators, and for the society at large. The way forward for this workshop, the first thing which I would like to say that this session, the session on the quality assurance and enhancement, this was to establish the foundation on the QA and ranking. It will be followed by a QA compliance, and it will be tomorrow with the strategic alignment workshop that will be delivered by Mr. Khurram Abbas. The workshop of tomorrow will be aimed at helping participants identifying gaps in their institutions' QA practices, map them to the QA's ranking criteria, and develop actionable strategies for improvement. So tomorrow it will be a kind of practical that will be part of this session. It's practical and hands-on experience will be done tomorrow in the follow-up session. So you will be sharing your good practices. Over here, I can see the leading universities. They will also be participating by filling that performa. The prescribed format will be given to you. You will be filling that information to share your good practices, and our online participants will also be seeing that online form and performa prescribed form to fill up and to share their experiences. The workshop is the intended outcomes of that workshop will be practical alignment, skill building, and actionable recommendations. So at the end of that session, we will be able to conclude and sum up the topic of the quality assurance and ranking, and we will come up with some recommendations to move forward and to continue this series of the workshop. So now, thank you very much for your patient listening and for sharing the now. Typically, the sessions are ended with question answers because we have a lot of international participants. So instead of taking any questions or answers over here, because the participants sitting over here are from the Pakistani universities, they are already familiar. I will be available with them today and tomorrow, and they can ask me any questions over here. But for international participants, I would like to encourage that at least from two countries, if somebody wants to share any good practice or to say a few words, we can give them opportunity. So if anyone, please introduce yourself, your country name, your university name, and then you can come up with sharing of good practice or any comment. Very brief, because then my colleague will be starting for the next.
We clap.
Thank you.
They can post it.
Oh, yes. And that is also, my colleague has just explained that if they don't want to make a comment or they don't want to share a practice right now, they can post it. That we will take up tomorrow. We can take it up tomorrow because tomorrow we will have a follow-up session of this session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Badul, for a very insightful presentation on quality assurance and university ranking. It was really joyful to listen to you. Now the talk is open for questions. Please introduce yourself. Be very brief, and so the other can ask questions. And the online participants, they can post their questions, and our speakers, Dr. Batul and other speakers and resource persons will be very happy to address their questions today and tomorrow. Yes, there is one raised hand. There is one. So, yes, please go ahead, ask your question, introduce yourself, and please be very brief.
NSUI2AP.
Hello. May I speak?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
please.
This is Professor Halimur Rashid Khan from North South University in Dhaka, Bangladesh. This is not, I'm not going to share a practice that might take a little longer than most like. What I would want to do is really appreciate Professor Saida Zia Batul's presentation. This was a fantastic guideline. And I think if we could follow this, get a little more training about this thing, I think we could create a guideline, create a development process for ourselves. And the second point I wanted to mention is the PowerPoint presentation available for us to reread and go through this? So if this could be shared to all of us, I think that would be a fantastic idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your kind comment. And yes, this presentation will be available for everyone. I will request my colleagues in COMSTECH to make this available not only to the participants over here, but to the international participants as well.
All right, and we have 208 participants who are online with us.
National audience. Yes, please. Ahmed.
Ahmed, please go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Ahmad Aliu Ladan from Saad Zungur University, Bauchi State here in Nigeria. I greet you all for this, and I would like to appreciate the presenter for setting up this standard. Thank you very much, and even for the organizers of this program. I would like to ask, even though you promised that tomorrow is going to be an hands-on practical training, even though we, the online participant, we may not have the opportunity to, I don't know how it will be, but I would like you to set out some of the key performance indicators that will be used to assess the quality assurance in our departments, faculties, and the universities in general, so that those will be the criteria for us to measure whether a particular department or a particular unit is to the standard of the world, or to the following the mission or vision of a particular country or the department as a particular distance. So this is my question. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
I think it was more like a comment. If you have any particular question, can you repeat
Thank you
your
very
question?
much for your
Thank you very much.
comment.
Yes.
And you have also mentioned about the practical and the hands-on experience. So that will be followed in the tomorrow's session. So please join us in the tomorrow's session that will be conducted by Furamabad. And it will be experiencing a hands-on experience. We will give you prescribed format and performa to share. And finally, in the last session of tomorrow, we will make recommendations so that those recommendations will be developed through the input from all of you, from the participants available here and from the international participants as well. Another comment from the international participants, I think Hafizur Rahman. Yes.
Bangladesh.
Yes, please. This is the last point from the online participant.
Yes, madam, thank you very much. So kind of you. So it's very fantastic and very informative information. So we need the ranking for the best of the Ummah, for Muslim Ummah. So your collaboration, your cooperation is extremely helpful. So madam, thank you for mentioning Bangladesh. We are waiting to welcome you in North South University or inshallah in July or August, inshallah. Thank you, madam. See you soon in Dhaka, inshallah, madam. So kind of, so kind of.
So I'll request all the online participants, if they have any question or comment, please post your comment or question, and our speakers and person, they will be happy to address it. Now we come to the participant. Please introduce yourself.
I am Professor Dr. Asim Ansar, Quality Enhancement Cell from the Government Service University, Customer. I have one submission and one question. a smart solution that the government college university has its ranking
Please
was
bring the mic
was
closer.
also 600 to 800, but it was not placed in the paper. And in the, it's the challenge of the outlook of the institute, especially international outlook of the institute. So it covers the inbound and the outbound of the faculty and the students. So what will be the duration for the faculty? If they go for the outbound, that can be considered as the outbound for maybe for a month or larger. So if you guys please can do it.
Actually, I have already mentioned that all our Pakistani universities and I think the universities of the similar countries are in trouble when we look at the international outlook. This is the case both for the placement of the faculty and for the students as well. For the students, obviously, this is for the degree duration, and for the faculty, we can have them as a visiting faculty or as a foreign faculty for a shorter duration, but they do not consider for less than 3 months. So that is also one of the important points. But I would like to mention over here, as Dr. Iqbal Chaudhary has also mentioned during the last workshop, that COMSTECH is also thinking on developing the indigenous model for all the member OIC countries, and in which we will also inculcate a point of and weights of the values, because the values and traditions, these are not part of the QS and Times Higher Education or any of the ranking models. But in the indigenous model, which will be developed with the efforts of the OIC countries under the platform of the COMSTECH for the ranking of the OIC member state universities, that will take care of this values and traditions, and this may replace or reduce at least a little weightage of the international outlook, because we do understand the challenge of the Pakistani universities. They cannot get good marks and good grades into these two components. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. We can have two more questions, one from our colleague sitting in the second row and one in the first row.
I'm Professor Dr. Sadullah Majnu. I'm
Chale. Madam has to attend another meeting, so please be very brief.
Yes, please.
I'm Professor Dr. Sadullah Majnu, Director of Quality Enhancement of Islamic University Bhawanpur. अब तक आपने IQAC, EQAC की बात की है.
We will appreciate a question in English, please, because international speakers are there. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
if you can speak in
yes,
English, that's okay. Otherwise, we will
okay.
translate it in
You
the.
translate.
The PSC 2023 has been launched by the FCC, and it covers the RISAB aspect. That's the review of effectiveness of QA and accreditation concept. So this can be incorporated into this framework, because FCC has already done it with the consultation of all the stakeholders of university, and it has been implemented. And it has also the components of RISE and FREE, that is the micro quality assurance and macro quality assurance at university level. So I request for inclusion of these with the COMSTECH also. Second is, there is no any model like
Thank
this
you,
for
your point is
academia.
perfect.
So this is my question. So there is no any model for academia industry linkage. So if a COMSTECH can take all the stakeholders and can make a model for industry academia linkage, it will be very beneficial for all the universities.
Thank you very much. Very important point, Dr. Saab, you have mentioned the academia industry linkage is directly linked with the employability of the graduates, with the resource generation as well, and for improving the relevance of the higher education as well. So COMSTECH will make efforts to develop some framework for that as well. And in tomorrow's workshop, that will be reflected, the EQA and the other practices of the HEC. So tomorrow we will be doing a follow-up of this session. Thank you.
The last question, very quickly.
Another question?
Dr. Ghulam Mustafa from PIAS. I'm a Director of Quality Assurance.
From a very reputable institution,
Yes,
these PRs.
I have been part of.
Very high rank, although they have a classified research, I fully recognize the efforts of PRs in the classified research, in form of research and having PhD faculty. As everyone gives marks to having PhD faculty in PRs, you can see abundance of PhD faculty. So what is the recipe? The other colleagues from universities may ask them, That was the recipe to attract the PhD faculty and to retain them.
My quick question is, Madam later, because I feel this is a very appropriate forum. One of the indicators is basically international research network, again related to the international outlook. And I think COMSTECH play a role in establishing collaborations and arrangements with other OIC member states. So I think one of the points to be thought from this forum should be in this area.
Thank you very much. Very important recommendation. So your recommendation is already there. It will be included in the tomorrow's concluding session. So please note it down, Murtaza, because it is very important point.
You write it down and give it.
Okay.
We will put
Thank
it-
you very much, Ji.
Although I have a couple of questions with Madam, but we can discuss
very
tomorrow.
happy I was their faculty member.
Okay, Madam, thank you
Okay,
so much.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam. Kal aapse safe moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you participants for your patience listening, and it was really a joy to listen to Madam's presentation. Now we move to our second presentation and second talk. It is by our colleague. And before that, I forgot to introduce myself. Some of my colleagues, they know me working here. My name is Shahid Beg. I am a professor of human genomics. Currently, I am advisor at COMSTECH. And before that, I was serving as the Dean of Sciences at Health Services Academy, Khan University, and served in FIAS with more than 34 years. So it's a pleasure to have so many colleagues from various universities. So we will have a very active and interactive session today and tomorrow. So it's my pleasure to introduce my senior colleague, Professor Dr. Syed Javed Khurshid. He is the senior consultant at COMSTECH. And before moving here, he has served Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission as a director of Nathiyagiri Summer College and then DG Planning and Development for many years. He's still serving, moving around in the scientific community. He has a vast experience on science diplomacy, science communication, and scientific and development matters in the universities and R&D institutions. So I'll not go into more detail. He has a very long introduction. So it's over to Professor Dr. Syed Javed Khurshid. And he will be talking about strengthening quality assurance framework in COMSTECH Consortium of Excellence University, a roadmap for excellence to achieve SDG 4. So it is over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shahid. It's a pleasure for me to be here to speak on this. Well, I just came in between to fulfill the things left by Dr. Saida. He has to go too early to an assignment. And I thought, let me take this topic as an academician. So I won't be giving a lot of data, but I will give you a roadmap how to follow. We are following it at our university, but are we following it systematically, or are we considering those points which we have to consider? Where is the problem? Is it a problem in implementation, or is it a problem in thinking, or do we have other problems to cover? Why we are not satisfied, especially for the Pakistani. And I am happy that I was also a faculty member of FIAS for so many years. Besides that, I teach at MDU and international relation and other things. I'm happy I'm now working with COMSTECH, and in that view, I will be talking. And basically, I will be talking on this quality assurance as a stepwise, how we take this method, what should be the framework. Basically, we made this presentation for COMSTECH consortium universities, but now as we announced this topic, a lot of people shown have their interest to come and to participate in that. And we are happy if we are able to form a group of people or in the university or with us to take this further so we can help them. Next, which is very, is actually our target is enhancing excellence in higher education. If we see our target, the importance, what is the importance of quality assurance in higher education? The university ranking quality assurance is crucial to ensure that institutions are genuinely delivering high quality education and research. We are saying that high quality education and research. So we have to look into it, that why we are not doing it and what is the problem, which ultimately impacts the ranking and reputation. What is quality is quality. Second, what is quality? And what is the missing factor between quality and quality assurance and we reaching to the enhancing the quality and this is one of the things which is pinching us. And we will be looking at it. Second, who are the stakeholders? Are we taking with us to increase the ranking of the university? And let's see what are the challenges. In my presentation, you will basically see that I will be talking about OIC universities, including Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the OIC universities. Challenges faced by OIC universities in ensuring quality assurance. Then let me go one step by step. You have gone through their simple definitions, but actually, do we keep them in mind all the time? They are very simple, but have we inculcated these definitions in our thinking? So we have to inculcate these things in our thinking. Unless they are inculcated in our thinking, we do not really act like. Quality is in the context of university ranking, refers to the overall excellence of an institution encompassing different aspects. What is quality assurance? In university ranking refers to the process, mechanism put in place to ensure that an institution maintains and enhances its quality. This can include, let's see, what I'm referring. I'm referring how quality can be implemented in the first place. Second, quality by design. Either we are implementing it quality by design or we have a built-in quality. I am emphasizing that we should have a built-in quality. It should be inculcated in our system. Second, how we can assure quality if we do not have what and how to implement. Quality is a dependable variable. It is there only if it is built in provided services. Then we can ensure with adequate evidence that it is constantly satisfies given needs. What are the quality variables? Academic reputation, teaching quality, research outputs and impact, international diversity, student-faculty ratio, faculty qualification, and besides that, helping these variables, there are other variables like infrastructure and facilities, student support services, graduation rates and employability, industry partnership and collaboration. We have just talked about industry participation and collaboration. There was a question on that. It's very important. It is really missing in our university. And that innovation and entrepreneurship. Then community engagement and outreach. These variables help assess and measure the quality of the university. Quality assurance. It is built through quality components, which I have already talked about. Quality assurance is defined as the process and the mechanism put in place to ensure that an institute maintains and enhances its quality. This includes aspects like accreditation, internal quality review, external assessments, which Dr. Saida has talked about and mentioned about the things. These are the things which we have to improve content, continuous improvement in future. So a network of all these interdependent components that I have talked about work together to accomplish the aim of the system. The system should have an aim. If there is no aim, there is no system. So we have to develop a system with the aim. So we have to achieve the aim, and then we can have check that if we are achieving or not. The real power lies in the way the parts come together and interconnected to fulfill some purpose, which is quality. What is the importance of quality? See, we talked about quality assurance. What is the importance? Why we are going for quality? Quality assurance is crucial for achieving SDG 4. What I mean is for achieving the sustainable development goals. And sustainable development goals, when we talk about SDG 4, which is about the education. It says that it ensures a quality education. It is the core SDG which we have to achieve. Benefits of quality assurance is that such an important improves learning outputs, increase employability, and enhance global revenue. Discuss different type of quality assurance frameworks, such as curriculum development, faculty development. These are very important. Challenges and opportunities. Discuss the challenges. We have to keep in mind the challenges. They are very important. Discuss the challenges and opportunities in implementing quality. Because we have to know that why we are not succeeding and improve our quality. Somebody looking on it? Okay. So here I have taken a different step, a little further, how we can come in the implementation, how we can come in the to achieve the result by the quality assurance and rank university rank. I will say quality assurance. So we want to achieve the SDG 4 to ensure the quality of the education. What is SDG 4? SDG 4 is it focuses on quality education, relating SDG 4 to quality assurance in the university. So we have to see here I am developing a link between SDG 4 and quality assurance. So it is very important. SDG 4 aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. So it is the ultimate goal of SDG 4 and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Now, there are few targets in SDG 4. If we look at it, the target 4.1 ensures that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education. 4.3 is ensure equal access for all women and to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and education. Then 4.7 is very important. It says ensure supply of qualified teachers through international cooperation for teachers training in developing countries, especially low developed countries. Ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development goals. Here I like to mention that if we see in Pakistan, a recent report came in internationally, published by the WHO, which publish this report every year. We are 40th country in the sustainable to achieve sustainable development. And if we come to the SDG 4, we are ranked as major challenges remain as it is. So I don't know on what side our ranking is, but internationally it is like that. So I quoted those words which are said internationally. Quality assurance in the universities is a key mechanism to achieve SDG4 by ensuring that educational institutes provide high quality education, which is inclusive, open, and relevant to the needs of learners and the society. In essence, quality assurance is the social means to achieve SDG4 as it helps universities ensure that they are providing education that meets high standards, is accessible to all, and prepares learners for success in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. Now, there are other things which SDG4 brings to the quality assurance. Quality assurance framework helps universities ensure that their programs meet high academic standards, leading to improved learning outcomes and increased confidence in the quality of education. Second, quality assurance promotes accountability among universities, encouraging them to take responsibility for the quality of the education they provide. Support quality assurance framework facilitate continuous improvement by identifying areas for improvement and improve in implementing challenges. Quality assurance is quality assurance encourages innovation in teaching, learning, and research, leading to the more effective and engaging education. So what I'm saying these are the points which the professors, people who are involved in quality assurance in the universities, they should keep in mind. And this is not a process that once you keep one thing in mind and implement and it is done, you have to do it continuously. After you have to revise your procedure. Quality assurance helps universities to develop programs that meet industry needs, which is lacking in Pakistan, increasing graduates, employability, and contributing to the economic growth. Quality assurance framework can help universities ensure that their programs are inclusive and supporting SDG4 aims to provide quality education for all. Quality assurance encourages universities to develop programs that support lifelong learning, enabling individuals to acquire new skills and knowledge throughout their life. As Dr. Chaudhary mentioned today, and we have to look into it, that universities will be going into new programs in the coming year, like artificial intelligence, laser technologies, nanotechnologies, and all these things. Quality assurance can increase the global recognition of the universities in the program, facilitate international collaboration. So if we increase the program, we increase the international. Okay, let's see, what are the challenges of OIC countries implementing the quality? Common challenges faced by OIC universities is implementing quality assurance, lack of leadership quality. Well, don't take it in the word, but it is given. You see it in a whole picture. You don't see it individually. So lack of leadership quality is very important. Is here. Limited creative innovation. Governance and leadership issues are there. Partial fulfillment of quality assurance goals is there. Resources constraint and infrastructure. Okay, we still have, they are good universities. They have the facilities, but there are a lot of universities which are have resource constraint. Then the last, brain drain and lack of qualified faculty. Rita was talking and she said few things about PR, and I'm really proud of it. We were a part of that, and you see a lot of PhDs there. In my years, when I was in Princeton, and there used to be 50 chemists under one. So this is what is the brain, and after the brain drain, it happens that they are nearly 8 to 10 PhD. So the brain drain is there, we are not mentioning. Okay, current state of quality assurance in OIC. Overview of the current state of quality assurance in OIC. University. What is happening? Okay, so overview of the current status in OIC countries tell us, if we take examples of excellent universities, we see that Malaysia has very good national presence, boards, and they show quality. They are responsible for it. Then we come to Turkey Higher Education Quality Council. It also proposes the quality. And the result of that, if we see the ranking of the universities, I have just taken few examples just to show you the ranking. United Arab Emirates, you think about a small country, but 12 ranked, they have 12 institute ranked are very high. Up. When I say ranked high, that means above below 500. I'm talking. Then Saudi Arabia has 20 ranked universities, Qatar has 5 ranked universities. Egyptian is a home for high. There are a lot of universities, Sultan Qaboos, Oman, Jordan University. I have given the ranking. But just for an example, I am saying that how, see, it is not true for every OIC countries. They have their problems, but some of the countries are really high and they have their economic to help them. The American University of Beirut is if you come to Pakistan, I don't know, this is the reported thing that they at the world university ranking, there are only 2 universities, world university ranking. But when you come to Asian ranking, we have increased, our ranking is increased. We are 47 universities when we come to Asian ranking. It is increased. Okay, if we look at it, that who is controlling in Pakistan? I have talked about the other countries. Now in Pakistan, you see HEC controls and all these dependent departments are working HEC. But Saida Khan, I have said one thing very important, which I like to emphasize, that the department is giving the quality assurance to be implemented should not be a portion of a system which is implementing that. So the department which is taking care of the system, they should be separate. The report should be separate from those departments which are working on it. So they can evaluate how they're working and where the improvement is. I can give you an example, but it is going in the other thing that we have quality assurance thinking about health department separate from that. Have an eye on that, the work what is going on. and how the improvement can be done. So it should be the other. It should not be under 75. Here, I like to say that, well, it is difficult to say, but I like to mention that why our universities are not ranked very high. There is a problem. We have talked about IKT system and that they are implementing, but there are problems which they are trying to cover, but still the problems are there. Challenges are there. I won't say problems, I will say challenge. First, limited research funding. Okay, as you see, when I was talking about quality assurance, I mentioned research fund. So there is a limited research. Second, internet inconsistent curriculum and degradation of the system. Third, faculty shortage. There. We talked about the faculty shortage and the quality of well, I don't want to mention that people. So, on- Then curriculum. Curriculum development is very important in ensuring quality. We see a good example, again, I will mention that Malaysia Ministry of Education developed review curriculum standards for universities. Turkey Higher Education Council also responsible. And in Pakistan, I will say the curriculum development should be, curriculum should be revised, all should be looked at on the year basis. Before starting the classes every year, we should look into the curriculum, that what are the good things we should include and what are the things we should discard. Then the most important, which I go for, faculty development. Pakistan higher education is doing that. But do we have a roadmap that how qualified our faculty should be for every university? And what is the minimum requirement for the faculty? And how many PhDs should be there to implement a program? And how many PhD we should have to implement the program initially? And then we can increase. So faculty development is very important. Now, stakeholder engagement, we need all these people, the students, the parents, the employers, regulatory bodies, taxpayers, school of thought, and professional communities to really improve our range. That how it can be. Are these people involved in this? We should involve. So best practices and case cases are there. I won't discuss that because we will be discussing it tomorrow. Then the quality assessment is very important. Something has been discussed by Dr. Saida. I will go in details. So we should have guidelines and standards or policies for the implementation of quality, which meet their needs or needs of equal weight, which are the dependent and independent variables. If quality is a dependent variable, how will we achieve it? The dependent variables I have already mentioned in the beginning. So those are the variables which we are talking about. Can we manage the education process effectively to achieve quality? Do we understand the process? Therefore, I said we should inculcate the quality assurance process. Curricula frozen or changing to address the changes. This is very important. I have mentioned. Students with innovative culture or practical skills should be produced. Preparation of students with social responsibility is very important, which we often forget in university, which we have to emphasize. Staff responsibility to the social needs, very important. Discussion with the stakeholders on common understanding or just following order. Quality standards or quality culture is very important. But which comes first? The standards or the quality culture? So quality culture is important. It creates a quality standard. Implementation. So we have the thinking, we have the point. We should be looking at the implementation plan for strengthening quality assurance framework in all. Key steps and timelines are very important. We should define the timeline in what time we have to implement something in the university, in your university. Sustainability is very important. Importance of sustainability, long-term impact of quality. Strategy for sustaining quality assurance initiatives in oil, such as continuous monitoring and evaluation. As I have mentioned earlier, it is very important to have continuous monitoring. So our programs of regularity, our curricula, and our recommendations, summary of key points and takeaways. There I am bringing one or two here, but I like these recommendations in a written form from your side. But what you think? So these recommendations should be included the outcome of this workshop. So we see that how you people think, and how it can be applied, and what is still lacking in your eyes to be. So what we do, just a thing of explaining very quick person, what we need to do is to learn to work in a system, by which I mean that everybody, every team, every platform, every division, every component is there not for individual competence process or machine, but for contribution to the system as a whole on a win-win way. It is not enough to do your best, but you must know what to do and then you do your best. So future direction is emerging trends, innovation and quality assurance, such as digitalization, we are going towards that, and artificial intelligence. Potential area for future research and development, such as quality assurance and distance education. Collaboration and partnership, as I have already mentioned, importance of collaboration and partnership is strengthening quality framework. Examples, successful collaboration partnership in OIQ universities, such as there is one organization of association of Arab universities, all for the action for continuous collaboration in knowledge. This is very important. We should look into the future direction and from these recommendations and after this workshop, we will get an idea of how you think about the what should be implemented. And this will be the recommendations and outcome of this workshop here. And I will be very thankful to you for that. They will be very effective when we are implementing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Khurshid, for sharing your vast experience of quality assurance and university ranking. Now we have a few minutes for the question and answer session. Again, please introduce yourself, be very brief, and the participants online, they are welcome to post their questions. Yes, first Dr. Sakib, and then we will move to other parties.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the nice meeting. As for my
Please
opinion,
introduce yourself.
sorry, okay.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Sakib Nasir. I'm working as a Director Planning and Development in Pakistan Science Foundation. Also working as a visiting professor in the Fatma Women University, Rawalpindi in the Department of Chemistry. Very nice presentation. I do agree with your point. As mentioned in your presentation, there are two challenges we are facing in Pakistan. One is the shortage of the funds or funding constraints. I do agree to some extent that we have a funding shortage, but ultimately I emphasize on one thing that we have not a shortage of funding. We have a problem with the effective utilization of funding and the resource mobilization of the funding among the institutions, among the departments, and among the universities. This is one of the basic problem we are facing in Pakistan. The second point, as you mentioned about the curriculum, as a project director of STEM education, I know about one thing that the curriculum is a very key point where we have need turnings. But we are not need to revise only the curriculum just by subtraction and addition of the content. We have need to align the curriculum according to the national needs because there is a process of learning and de-learning is required in the global era. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sakib, for your comment. I think there was no question.
There were no questions, but I like to.
Please.
You have mentioned that we have to revise the curriculum and I was part of a curriculum committee 15 years ago. And I have seen the situation, how we have revised the curriculum at that time. So it is just a revision. It is, we have to include those things which we need. Curriculum should be revised after every 2 years, I think so. Because it was very bad when I was in the committee. There was even no books, no standard books to be taught in all the Punjab universities. There were no curricula which should be applied to all the Punjab universities and things like that. And there was a curricula which every university has its own curricula and things like that. So you have to do the things with the time. This is very important, and this is the thing which I am looking for.
Thank you, sir. Sir, first, Dr. Suhail and then.
Professor Yusuf, Director Quality Enhancement Cell Idealism University. So, one of the key indicators or factors is the teaching quality you mentioned. But I feel is like we are if we are improving, I would say we are going down in teaching quality. And one of the reasons I feel is that the criteria which HEC has introduced for the promotions and some appointments, it does not consider, it does not give any weightage to the teaching. They evaluate you on the basis of your publications, citation, etc. So I think this should also be included because especially the TTS faculty, even the BPS, because they are evaluated on the basis of the publication. So their concentration is more on the publication and less on the teaching. Only what I have seen is that the teachers who really like their profession, they are actually preparing, well for the lecture and, doing their job well. But most of us are researchers and we just go to the classroom and, fulfill a formality rather than, so I think this should be included. There should be a weightage of teaching. Then we can, maybe cover this factor as well. Thank you.
I think you have asked, or I did a very prominent question which comes and we don't think about it. I really have a different thinking. I will say that you are right. the teaching quality and the research experience should be given same importance. And if you say you won't agree with my idea, I don't go even with the impact factor. Because if you said read international publications on the impact factor was a process to be involved in the library ranking, not the professor's ranking, not the ranking of the papers. It was for the university's library ranking. So we are using it for the professor ranking. That is wrong. There are many Nobel laureates, they have published their thinking on that. Einstein got the Nobel Prize, but what was his impact factor? How many publications did he have? No. If our publications are implemented practically, we are achieving practical results, we should consider that publication very important for the country and the system in which field he has published. So impact factor and promotion and on that. And here you said it is the thing which is harming. Yes, it is harming. We have to discuss that. I have a different idea, which you people, most of you won't agree with it. But impact factor is not the system to evaluate a teacher, basically a professor. You can see his devotion and working towards the research, but he is also responsible to teach. So you have
Thank you, sir. It's a very important issue. What are the risks involved in chasing the ranking and how we can make a balance between quality and the equity? So we will discuss in the workshop tomorrow.
We can discuss in the workshop tomorrow, or you can discuss.
This is a very important issue, very burning and pertinent issue.
Because I have
on
many
which we
publications
have
on
to
that,
do,
how impact factor is not important.
So to our next speak, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate the effort of Comstek for this very important workshop. We are all really worried about it, and we are concerned about how to enhance the quality. Just like we are talking about, there are a lot of education bodies in HEC who are accredited in different universities. But the question is, are those education bodies recognized internationally? If not, then their work would be really not on the university. My question is it possible, can we have an ethics body at OIC forum, which facilitates all the member countries and give recognition? And because it's a new COMSTECH introducing in it, can we have such mechanism where there is an ethics body of all the OIC countries? Thank you very much.
I think first you put this thing in recommendations, and second, I have mentioned that Arab organization of the university is doing that, and we can do it. We can do it, I think, but you put it in recommendations so we can take it and we can discuss it.
Thank you, sir. Yes, we have one more question, and it should be the last. Then we will close this session. You will have a lot of time to ask questions and discuss tomorrow and this evening during the lunch session, during the tea
After
session.
the lecture in the evening.
Even you are staying in the same living area, you can discuss over the dinner as well.
We are available to you, and
The faculty will be there with you. Yes, we are lucky to have you all.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sir, I'm the professor of Amiraji. I'm from UET Lahore. So I have a question from you regarding this. You said that after every 2 years, the curriculum should be revised. So I think it is not too early. In 2 years, we revise the whole curriculum, because at the course level, this is a practice throughout the universities where engineering programs are being run. That at the end of the every course, we have a course evaluation form. We give this evaluation form, and in the light of that, we make changes in the courses. In addition to that, we also have a very good practice. We have advisory board where we link with the industry and some important personalities from the industry is guide us that this course is right now is the necessity of the industry. So you should also include this into your curriculum. So in the wake of these all, is there any need to change our curriculum after 2 years?
Okay, this is the main question why I'm saying this. Because we feel satisfied that we have the committee. The committee will handle. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you have to inculcate, you have to think what is wrong, and and I think the people are not thinking, the faculty members are them. We are saying that they have done their responsibility. The evaluation is done by the students. The advisory committee has seen it. But somebody should sit there that are we able to include these things? Are we need a revision of curricula? There should be a committee overlooking that besides letting the forms fill. It is not the sense of the getting the forms filled and recommendations, it is getting to implement those to see what results you can achieve. So we are not really very active in implementing those things and taking the new ideas. We we don't we are not exposed and we don't want to expose ourselves to the new ideas and new thinking because it is changing. The world is changing very fast and we have to prepare the students to issue the recent information. So therefore I suggest even in my suggestion 2 years or more. I will say that every year before starting a section, you have to see that what are the new challenges, how you can improve.
Thank you so much, and thank you, dear participants who are present here and who are present online. Let me conclude this session by summarizing the key takeaways. This session has highlighted quality assurance is not just a regulatory tool, but a culture. Rankings are useful if aligned with institutional missions, not just prestige. We need greater data transparency, collaboration, and capacity building in the OIC region and beyond. And let me quote the John Ruskin saying that quality is never by accident. It is always through intelligent effort. It is always a result of intelligent effort. So we have to learn from each other, explore pathways of mutual support, benchmarking, and capacity building. So thank you, Javed Kushid Saab, our senior colleague, on behalf of COMSTECH and COMSTECH Consortium of Excellence. I would like to thank the organizing committee, thankful to Dr. Sayyid Abdul for excellent presentation on quality assurance and university ranking. And now we have a break for lunch and prayer. We will be back again at 2:30. Please be here in the afternoon session after the lunch. We will have a online.
Yes, I will request that please come 5 minutes before 2:30 because
You should be here by 2:25 because we have an online speaker, Dr. Jennifer Polwright from University of Leicester, and she will be talking about understanding universities world ranking paradigm, the University of Leicester story in focus. So it is going to be a very exciting talk. Thank you so much.
I am very happy. I'm very happy to welcome you all to the second section in a sense, and we have a speaker from outside, Dr. Cynthia Danny Cole-Wright. Dr. Danny Cole-Wright, and I like to welcome you to this workshop. And we are very happy to have you here and to learn from you. And today, Dr. Jane Cole-Wright, she will be speaking on the understanding of universities, world ranking paradigm. The University of the Cheshire Story and Focus. I'm glad to introduce a little Dr. Jane Cole-Wright, who is the Deputy Dean of Education, Associate Professor of Marketing of Business, University of Cheshire, and she began her academic journey at the University of Cheshire as an undergraduate student in the Diploma of Media and Communication. She is very new. Graduating with a BSc in Media Communication and Society, MSc in Media and Communication, Research Methods. In 2009, she was awarded a Graduate Research Assistant, pursuing for PhD in 2015, and she was awarded a PhD for the thesis Lift and the Value of Scarce Resources. Now, I don't want to come in between Dr. Jane Cole and your people, and I invite her to deliver a lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay. And if you could just let me know if you can hear me okay, that would be great.
Thank you. Yes, you are clear.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me just get my screen up. I've not got many slides, but just as a bit of a background.
Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, a huge thank you for inviting me to come and speak today. It's a real privilege to share a bit of insight about what we're doing at the School of Business at the University of Leicester. Just to kind of contextualize some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today. Initially, I think one of my colleagues, Dr. Dave Houghton, was going to come and do this talk. Dave is our Dean of Accreditation, and I'll talk a little bit about his role in a moment. But Dave was unable to come at this particular day and time, so I've been asked to come and talk about this from my perspective. As you've previously mentioned, I am a Deputy Dean of Education within the School of Business. And I think that offers a slightly different lens to looking at what ranking systems and accreditation mean within a business school. And for me, it really is about how our day-to-day practices, the things that we should be doing anyway, in terms of ensuring the quality of education that we are providing for our students, really translates into ultimately meeting those ranking goals and ultimately meeting those objectives that we have about having a global reputation that's positive, that tells the world about what we're doing here at Leicester. So my story and my version of the importance of rankings really comes from that education perspective. But there's a wider context to it as well that, of course, we need to be aware of and look at. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we mean by when we're talking about rankings and how all of these things kind of fit together in terms of what that means for us at Leicester and our strategy. And then specifically, I'd like to spend a bit of time focusing on that role of education, how education quality assurance processes can really help us in achieving those ranking goals. I'm sure you're all really familiar with some of these logos and some of these initiatives. The main one, of course, being the QS University rankings and the World University rankings from the Times Higher Education as our global ranking systems that, you know, have recognition internationally, that hold huge value in terms of the work that we do academically, but also in terms of reputation, in terms of status, and really kind of making sure that, you know, you have recognition in a marketplace. You know, let's not forget that the education system now is not merely a mechanism through which we educate and produce high quality research. This is an industry, this is a business in its own right. And ensuring that you are in the right places in some of these ranking systems is really, really important for the kind of ongoing reputation and ongoing business of your universities. Now, I think it's really important to recognize, though, that those global ranking systems are part of the picture. You also have your domestic ranking system. So here in the UK, where the University of Leicester is based, we have several really key metrics that we're also looking at, making sure that we are increasing our reputation, some of which kind of mirror some of the processes of the Times Higher Education and QS rankings, and others are much more student focused. But ultimately, most of these ranking systems use very similar, not the same, but very similar measures and metrics to judge our quality. And those centre often around things around research, around teaching, and about our staff and colleague body. There is a sense of prestige attached to these things, but I think there's also a sense of skepticism attached to them as well. You know, as an academic, it can sometimes feel like you are playing a game when you are trying to achieve some of these rankings. And that's important because we have to recognise that all universities and all of our other academic colleagues around the world are also playing those games, and it's important, therefore, that we are part of that process. But sometimes it can feel like we're doing things just for the sake of ticking a box to get a ranking. And I want to take us back from that and to start thinking about how actually embedding day-to-day good practice, day-to-day quality assurance into the work that we're doing across the range of our academic career can really help us achieve those things without it feeling quite so much like we're game playing. Because actually it does matter. You know, we're told, you know, by our vice chancellors that having a standing in these global rankings matters. Therefore, it's really important that we achieve that strategy, but we need to do so in a way that's meaningful. Otherwise, the impact that these rankings has is actually fairly limited. So the first thing that we need to really think about is what are the metrics that are being measured? How are we being judged? Because these rankings and rating systems are based on fairly complex and variation of measures. Ultimately, they kind of centre around some really key factors. So academic reputation, is Leicester a really good place to come and study? Has Leicester got a good research reputation? Has it got a good educational reputation? What are the perceptions of our graduates as they leave us about their time at Leicester? But also, what are the external perceptions of Leicester? So from a research point of view, do you want to collaborate with researchers at the University of Leicester? Do you want to employ our graduates? All of those things are really, really important metrics that we have somewhat of a level of control over in terms of if we put out good quality research, if we put out good quality education and teaching, then our reputation will be improved through our networking in that sense. But there's also an element of something that we can't control in there. Perception is something that's really, really difficult to shape, other than by continuing to engage in good practice and continuing to network and continuing to do those things that drive us from a quality perspective. But there's a range of other data and metrics that's used around our staff-student ratios, the amount of citations that faculty have got in particular types of journals, how many faculty come from international countries and how diverse we are as a school of business, including our student body as well. And more recently, metrics around sustainability, employability outcomes, and our international networks have also become increasingly important for the QS. Those were added, I think, in 2024. And I think that really shows how the university as an ecosystem is also developing and changing in those areas. We are now focused not just on producing, high quality graduates in terms of having a theoretical understanding of the topic and the discipline that you're engaging in, but actually also, what are you gaining out of this in terms of, where's your job opportunities? Where's your employability? Where's your marketability of a graduate of the University of Leicester? And that's something we're working really hard on here at the university in terms of making sure that our students are leaving us knowing what their graduate skills are and knowing how to apply those in the real world. Sustainability, likewise, is something that is embedded in our research and our academic agendas. So I think these things are emerging in areas that we're already partaking in. So it's really a matter of now making sure that we're recording that and we can evidence that for the metrics. And that's why having an understanding of those metrics is really important, because some of these things are, data driven. We have that data just by the nature of the operations that we run. But other things require documentation and evidence and proof, and being able to demonstrate that in a variety of different ways through the measures that different ranking systems operate. So by comparison, if we look at something like the Times Higher Education World University rankings, their metrics, as you can see, really closely align and overlap with the QS. So their 5 kind of key areas are teaching, research, citations, international outlook, and industry income, which is perhaps the area that's a little different. But ultimately, those ranking systems are looking at very, very similar measures, very, very similar metrics. The difference is sometimes in how they measure those and the arbitrary bits of data that one might use versus another. So it's really important when you are looking for and assessing that, assessing those kind of what you're aiming to get out of it and thinking about how do we achieve that. Now, of course, this also provides a little bit of a conundrum at times, because different ranking systems, whilst looking at something quite similar, might be using a different measure. And sometimes you have to prioritize which ones of those measures you as a university or you as a school might be working towards at any one time. But it's a really, really interesting thing to look at. And if you go onto the QS website or the university rankings metrics website, you can see how they calculate and weight some of these metrics in their overall calculations. Alongside our kind of rankings aspect, though, another really important and interlinked area is our accreditation bodies. So we have a range of different accreditation priorities at the University of Leicester. Some are subject specific, so some of our programs are accredited to their professional bodies. So CIPD, CIM, and CIMA in the UK context are our kind of HRM, our marketing and our accountancy main accrediting bodies. And our programs have to align to these. And again, this does help in terms of thinking about how we achieve some of the aspects in those world rankings in terms of ensuring our quality, ensuring our benchmarking is at a level which will increase our graduate outcomes and various other measures. We also are members of the Small Business Charter and responsible management principles for responsible management education as well. And these things, again, filter into the work that we're doing, thinking about that industry income, thinking about our impact in our communities, both locally and globally, and thinking about sustainability. Again, these things feed into that work we're doing. We're not just doing that work chasing those rankings. This is part of our day-to-day business operations. And then, of course, we have the triple crown of accreditations. So here at the University of Leicester, we are currently Amber accredited, and we are in the process of going through AACSB accreditation and due to start EQUIS accreditation in the near future. These processes, again, are hugely complex, but actually align to a lot of those principles that we were looking at in terms of thinking through those different factors and those different areas of standards in the education provision that we're providing and the research that we're doing. So again, there's a lot of crossover, and I think it's really important as an institution that sometimes you step back and say, okay, how do all of these activities that we're doing, how do these frame the work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, and how are we ticking the boxes in multiple areas at once and gathering evidence for those things. So our current work on AACSB and looking at how we are monitoring our continuous development and our assurance of learning for education will obviously help us achieve that accreditation ultimately, but actually that feeds back into our quality metrics around our education development for those ranking systems as well. So it's not just seen as doing something in isolation, but it needs to be a holistic view of the activities that you're undertaking. One of the things that I think is really important about our approach at the University of Leicester School of Business to managing rankings and accreditation is that it has to be a collaborative effort. As we've looked at on those previous screens and slides, the range of different activities that are being measured and metricized and engaged with as part of the rankings strategy is vast. This is not just a job for one person, and nor is it just just for the senior leadership team. Although, of course, they are constructing the strategy and are guiding that process. This involves a collaborative effort from all of us that are working in the school. We do at the University of Leicester School of Business have a Dean of Accreditation who has as an academic, has responsibility for the strategy that drives our rankings and accreditation objectives and understanding and a project management of how we meet those. And he is supported specifically by a team of an associate dean in accreditation and an associate dean in ranking. But again, their work is not in isolation. They have a team of professional services that they engage with who are helping support this endeavour, and really importantly, an operations committee that brings together key leadership roles from around the schools across the college, looking at how we all feed into the work that's going on. That includes myself, the other Deputy Dean of Education, and the Dean of Education, looking at education leadership, the research leadership team, and school leadership. So deputy heads of school also sit on that committee. And I think that just shows the amount of the diverse nature of the work that is needed to successfully achieve high quality rankings and accreditations. This isn't something that happens overnight. This is a long process. And once you've achieved something, there's a process of upkeep, a process of development and continuous improvement that needs to go on. Otherwise, you've achieved it once, but you need to achieve it and you need to continue to improve in that area. So I think something that is really important to take from the approach at Leicester is really how collaborative we are on this as a school. So coming into that then is where my role sits. So I am a Deputy Dean of Education in the School of Business. The School of Business is comprised of 4 academic areas in accounting and finance, economics, management, and marketing and strategy. From a school perspective, from a disciplines perspective, I sit in the School of Marketing and Strategy, but my role is across all 4. And my role is quite diverse in nature, looking at quality assurance, from looking at how we improve student outcomes, student experience, thinking about teaching quality, and ultimately, like everything that falls under that remit of education, the leadership team that I'm a part of are looking after and thinking about how do we improve, how do we engage. We're engaging at the college level, we're engaging at school and discipline level, and we're also engaging with the senior leadership team, and we are members of the university's senior education leadership team. And the strategies that are filtering through and also filtering up from the school, the innovation that comes from that, are really, really fundamental to us achieving our rankings goals. So when I was asked to start putting together this talk, I started thinking about how and why the quality assurance processes that form part of my everyday job are important for rankings. Because I've always said that my approach to rankings, my approach to accreditation this is about making sure you understand what's required and then working out how we do that in a way that's about best practice. That means that our students are still at the centre of what we're doing. So for me, this is about continuous improvement of our education policy, our education delivery, and ultimately, so that when my students graduate or when the students from our school graduate, they can say that they have had a high quality, research-inspired, really important, relevant delivery of their programme, which has equipped them for the graduate world and future employment. So ultimately, this is about high quality teaching. It's about student focused education, and it's about understanding how what we do in the classroom impacts the perceptions of those students, but also the wider world. It's really important that we uphold academic standards and that we have a process to allow us to do that. Upholding academic standards is not a personal judgment call of myself as a deputy dean or as a module lead or as a programme lead or as a head of school. It's about having a set of policies and frameworks that allow us to navigate what can be quite a complex landscape at times. At the University of Leicester at the moment, our students have all, well, our undergraduate students have all just received their end of year results. So either they're graduating and they've got their degree classifications, or they've just received their progression results from year 1 and 2. And with that comes a whole host of questions and a whole host of people questioning what's happened, or coming to us and now telling us about problems that they encountered during their studies, which they hadn't informed about us before, with their personal circumstances, etc. And having a really robust appeals process is actually a really important part of what we're doing right now at the moment, making sure that students understand why they've achieved what they've achieved, or why they've not achieved that whatever that they wanted to, and having an understanding that what we're doing here is in their best interest, and that it's following a set of rules and regulations that are set out ahead of them starting their time with us, so that we can demonstrate to them that everything we're doing is with integrity and that we expect the same in return from our students. So consistency here is really, really important. Having an understanding of this is how your degree is classified. This is what we expect of you. This is the process for doing these things is really, really important. But that's not at the expense of innovation. Consistency and innovation don't have to be mutually exclusive. We can innovate and then find a way to consistently roll that out. And I think that's a really important aspect, again, of ensuring that when we're thinking about education from a rankings point of view, if we look at some of those metrics from QS and the Times Higher Education, they're looking for academic reputation, employer reputation. And actually our students coming out having experienced innovative, world-leading, cutting-edge, research-inspired education will allow us to help build that reputation externally. Our students engaging with things that are happening here and now and every day, and not just reflecting on what's happened before. A future-facing set of skills, for example, is really, really important for our graduates. So innovation in what we're doing is really key. But having a quality process of consistency that underpins that is really important. And ultimately, that's about transparency and accountability, both for us and for our students, so that we have an understanding of how all of these things fit together in what we're doing. And there's a really specific link between the role of what we're doing in education and the rankings. There are several criteria in all of those ranking systems that are either a direct measure of something we're doing in the education space, or an indirect influence where there is perhaps a perception element to what we're doing. And it's really important that when we are looking at those rankings criteria, these aren't extra boxes that we need to tick. These are things that we do anyway. These are things that we're doing every day. This is part of our education provision. But perhaps it's important to remember that those things map onto one another. And actually, what's really important is thinking about how teaching quality and making sure and ensuring we're delivering a high teaching experience across our programs, across our modules, so that every student sat in every program, in every module, is receiving that high quality information and style of delivery. It's really important that our reputation is built on what we're actually doing. Right? There are some really innovative things happening in classrooms across the School of Business. And it's those things that we want to be known for. It's those things that we want our students to go out and tell the world about, that they learned about here. It's those things that we think are of value to employers in the future. And so it's really important we're making that message really clear to students. One of the things that we're working really hard on is a communication strategy where we are both receiving feedback, listening to feedback from our student body and responding to that to either explain why something has to be a certain way. So we are tied to certain rules in the UK by the OFS or by the OFS or by the QAA benchmarks, for example. And therefore, there's only a certain amount of wiggle room we have in certain areas, and actually explaining that to students can be really valuable. But the rest of the time, it's about working collaboratively with students and saying, okay, this is what you're telling us you need, how can we provide that? Or this is what you want further explanation of, this is how we can do that. This is where the support is for these different things. And actually, we found that doing that in a way that feed back to those students is really starting to increase that relationship between our students thinking about us as a reputable institution and telling people about that. And the reason why that's important, particularly in a UK context where we have the NSS as such a vital measure of the success of our programme, is around student satisfaction. So all of those things that we've just spoken about as direct measures of our quality, so the graduate outcomes, how many students are achieving good honours degrees, are supplemented heavily by those indirect measures of perception. And say in the UK, we have a national student survey, which is all about student experience and student satisfaction of their programme. So that's a survey that goes out to all final year students, all final year undergraduate students in the UK. And it is a huge basis of metrics that then feeds into the domestic league tables as well. And as you can imagine, a lot of those metrics are also the same things that play into the world ranking systems. So having a really good working relationship with your students where you're closing that feedback loop, where you're demonstrating to students that you're giving them a high quality education, and this is why and how and what it does, bringing in employers, making sure employers are aware that University of Leicester graduates are of high quality, is something that's really, really important. And what underpins all of these different things that we are doing is making sure that the programs we are delivering and the policies that we are creating or revising are up to date, are current, are doing what we need to do from a quality assurance point of view, but also encouraging that high quality of education. So program design at Leicester is a really robust system. There's a lot of paperwork involved, but actually it's all designed to make sure that the people who are designing the program have thought through all of the different things that they need to, from, is there a business case? Is this program viable? What do students need out of it? Where's the employability? Where's the research-inspired education? How are we guaranteeing that we are delivering that high quality, engaging, innovative program that Leicester wants to be known for? How are we authentically assessing students, making sure the assessments that we are putting out there for students are really, really not just about testing their theoretical and academic knowledge, but that assessment is in some way preparing them for the future real world of employment. So we are embedding a huge amount of authentic and employee-led and employee-consulted assessment strategies into what we're doing. And all of that is driven through our QAA processes, so processes that monitor and share that delivery. We're really, really committed to enhancing our learning environments. And by that, I don't just mean the physical environment the students are sat in whilst they're having their lectures, or we only have a certain amount of control over that. And you may have heard recently on the news that UK is currently in the middle of a heat wave, and the University of Leicester is not really designed for heat waves at times, and some of our rooms are absolutely boiling, as we don't necessarily have air conditioning everywhere, particularly in the older parts of the university. So there's certain aspects of our learning environment that we can't control, but there are other aspects that we can, and particularly in our digital learning environments and the spaces that we use for those other forms of teaching and delivery is something that we really can support. And we need to stop thinking about learning environment just as being that physical space. It's everything to do with where students are receiving learning and also the environment that they're in. So even just having an open door, approachable set of module leaders and staff is really, really important. So students know that they've got that ability to, I'm sat in the hub in the School of Business having a coffee, and I want my students to be able to approach me and have that kind of dialogue of, oh, you said something in your lecture, can we talk about it? Without it being kind of a, you're not approachable, you can't do that. Because actually that has a really, really important part in that student's experience at Leicester. And it's not just about academic support, it's also about all of the pastoral support that goes along with it. Because actually students, are under a huge amount of pressure. There's lots of other things potentially going on in their lifestyles, in their lives. We have a lot of students who might be commuting. We have a lot of international students at Leicester. We have students who might be carers, students who are balancing jobs, work to fund their studies, and actually making sure that they have that support and that pastoral support available to them is really important. And these aren't necessarily things that I think people will automatically think of when it comes to talking about rankings and ratings, but actually it feeds into all of those indirect measures of perception and ultimately makes our graduates stronger in the process. So kind of to start bringing together the points that I've made, I've got kind of two key points that I want to end on. First of all, that working together matters. When we are looking at achieving rankings and ratings strategies and objectives, it's not a one person can do this on their own. It has to be a collaborative school, college, university approach, because there are so many people playing into all sorts of factors. Right? Thinking about the NSS survey that I spoke about earlier, one poor module in year 2, even if all of the other modules were brilliant and fantastic, can impact the way that students perceive and fill out that form. Working together matters because we co-create quality. We co-create quality with our colleagues, both directly, the ones that I work with on a day-to-day basis, the education leadership team, my school level colleagues, heads of schools, colleagues across the college, and centrally in university. And most importantly, with our students. Our students are a key part of this. And that we don't need to think about rankings as a separate one-off tick box exercise. If we want to achieve high quality rankings and ratings, we need to be aware of those criteria. We need to make sure we play the game correctly. We need to make sure that we chase the right metrics. But ultimately, from an education point of view, and I realize that there are other metrics involved in rankings as well, but I can't speak for those, they're not part of my particular remit, but that day-to-day best practice, the delivering high quality student-focused education will enhance our global reputation and ultimately help us meet those aims of rankings and accreditation. If we do things just to tick the rankings box in education, it's not going to have the impact because the perception of our students, the perception of our graduates, the perception of the external academic world, the external employer world won't recognise what we're doing. If we truly do it, if we embed it in everything we do, that's where we will start to see the real impact. And so for me, rankings is a really important part of what we're doing as a university, as a college, as a school in terms of business. But it's not about that. It's about the focus on our students. And actually, if we can deliver our students a high quality education and do all of those things that I've spoken about today, we'll start to see the impact of that in the rankings and ratings as well. Again, thank you so much for having me today and for taking the time to listen to some of my ideas and my approach to rankings and ratings. And I say, if anybody has any questions or you want to open up to your own discussions, then thank you very much.
Thank you. I think now the session is open for question answers. If you have any questions, you can ask. The people or the scientists on the line, they can ask the questions, and then I will ask the audience here is physically present to ask the question. Anybody on the next? Then we have a question, okay? Please introduce yourself and then ask. Over there. You can hear us?
I'm Professor Dr. Amir Aziz from University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore.
Can you repeat
So-
it again? Sorry. Can you repeat it again?
I'm Professor Dr. Amir Aziz from University of Engineering and Technology, Lahore. So, Dr. Wright, I would like to ask you, because here we have a problem regarding calculation of the faculty-student ratio. So, because there is some visiting faculty, adjunct faculty, and the faculty which is also a shared one, which is engaged in different and programs as well. So I would like to ask you how you calculate the faculty-student ratio in your university.
So to be quite honest, that's not something that I do personally. So there will be a central metric. We have a data team at the university who will allocate that. But one thing I will say from an education perspective is I agree. The problem with staff student ratios is it can be actually quite complex. It's not as simple as we have this many staff and this many students, because we have staff, as you say, who, you know, potentially in some areas you might have staff on quite a high turnover who might be like on temporary contracts or visiting contracts. You have a number of shared modules and shared program delivery across the university, across schools, across colleges. And that can sometimes make that calculation quite difficult, because whilst the official calculation might say, you know, your SSR is 30:1, we're thinking, well, it is if you just look at this program that sits in the school. But actually, if we start to look at the delivery that we do externally for other places, then it's not quite that simple. So there is an official metric. I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure what the University of Leicester use as that is. But I do think that I do think that issue that you're talking about isn't something that is unique to you. I think that's a common problem in terms of just the nature of HR within a university, but also the nature of our co-delivery, especially, you know, speaking from someone who works in a business school. We have a lot of crossover, a lot of collaboration where we've got members of staff teaching on modules all over the place in the university. And of course, that's really, really difficult then to calculate in your SSRs because they're not sitting neatly in one program necessarily. So I'm not sure I can fully answer your question, but other than to say, you know, I think it's not a unique problem.
Thank you.
There is an online question. Muhammad Ibrahim, can you introduce yourself and then?
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My first question, I have two questions basically. My first question is that during your session, okay, in the core matrix, I want to know that which one is factor is has highly weightage. Like if I give an example, I am a student, undergraduate student of mechanical engineering at NAD University of Engineering and Technology, Karachi. I was seeing our rankings, university and QS rankings. It was above 1500. But if I see on the same IIT Madras, India, their sustainability ratio was around 70%, and it was a boom so that it would occurring at the top 150s in US rankings, QS rankings. So what's the factor which is highly weightage?
Yeah, so I think the difference is in how they calculate all of those different metrics. And I know I put a kind of the broad metric, the broad measure topics, if you like. But the difference is really in terms of how they then calculate the individual metrics. So Times Higher Education, for example, have 18 measures within those 5 topic areas, and each of those is weighted differently. QS has, again, a wider range of topic measures, if you like, and then within that, a whole host of different ways in which it's measured. As an example, I think kind of research citations in QS are worth about 20%. In Times Higher Education, they're worth about 30%. Reputation weight in terms of academic is fairly highly weighted in both. But QS also highly weight employer reputation as well in terms of how employers receive graduates from the university. And I don't think some of the other ranking systems include that. Internationalization is really, really highly weighted in QS and less so in some of the others. I think I can't remember the precise percentages, but there's about a 50% difference in how they measure it in QS compared with certainly Times Higher Education. So I think those percentage differences make a really big weighting when you then look at that across kind of perhaps 18, 20, 25 different measures that are being used. That's why, and again, I said earlier on in the talk that there's a certain aspect of gamification with these rankings, and that's why, because actually in prioritizing one area of activity over another, you are potentially favoring one ranking system over another, but that's not to say that you're not doing well in those other areas. It's just how those measures are working.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Another question, and please introduce yourself. Then ask.
Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Dr. Wright, I am Professor Dr. Noman from Business School of Superior University, and also working as the Director of Quality Assurance. Since your university has opted for AACSP accreditation, and basically AACSP accreditation is a long journey of minimum 8 to 10 years, rather more than 10 years. We have 3 business schools in Pakistan, one of LUMS, one of IBA Karachi, and I think one of Sabkhar IBA who have achieved this accreditation. So we are also in the race, the University of Pakistan. My question is, how do you position your faculty in the matrix that is provided by AACSP? Like there is a matrix where you place your faculty in scholarly academics, scholarly practitioners, academic practitioners, and practitioner academics and practitioner instructors. So what is the percentage of faculty required in each of the matrix? Thank you.
This is where I really need my colleague, Dr. Dave Houghton. As I mentioned earlier, we have a Dean of Accreditation who would know all of that stuff off the top of his head, and I'm really sorry that I do not. So I'm really sorry, I can't specifically answer that question, not thoroughly and not with the correct information in front of me. So I'm really not the right person in our system to answer that question.
Okay, thank you. Then we have another question from Dr. Saqib Nisar. Go ahead and ask the question.
Thank you very much. I'm audible, Dr. Jennifer?
Yeah, no, you introduced yourself.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I'm Dr. Saqib Nasir, working as a Director Planning and Development in the Pakistan Science Foundation, working in Ministry of Science and Technology. I'm also the visiting professor in one of the best university in Pakistan. I have a question in my mind. You have elaborated well about the matrix and all these things. I really appreciate and acknowledge. But my personal opinion in that we are actually have not a monitoring and evaluation and learning phenomena and the pathways to actually oversee the matrix which we are applying for improving the ranking. So I need your expert opinion how to basically reduce this gap of monitoring, evaluation, and learning to sustain the ranking of the universities. Thank you.
And I don't think there's an easy answer to the question, to be entirely honest. I think this comes down, I think, to the point I've made a couple of times about collaboration and working together. So the University of Leicester, we are fortunate that we have a data team that sits centrally. We also have a data officer who sits within student records, who looks after our board reports, our progression and data and all of those sorts of things. And we also have a data controller who sits within the College of Business and the School of Business. So we have professional services support in helping us monitor those metrics. It's up to us potentially to interpret those in line with the accreditation metrics. But again, we have professional services support with that. There are parts that fall to, as I've previously mentioned, our Dean of Accreditation and his team of Associate Dean of Ranking and Associate Dean of Accreditation will have specific areas of oversight. Directors of Education sitting within schools will have ownership over certain parts of that data, and then collaboratively we bring it together and look at it in an overarching way. I think if you've got, one person, if it was just me trying to do all of those things, I'd probably miss some of the nuances in the data because I'm not as familiar with all of it on a granularity level. But also, actually, it's really important that you have people who are experts and responsible for their bit of the metric, because then when we bring it together, there's a narrative to it as well. And not so much for the rankings, but certainly for the accreditation, it's about having a narrative that goes alongside that. So I think it's really about ensuring that everybody knows which bits of the metrics that they're looking at and that they're responsible for that, but that it doesn't come at the expense of doing the day job, because otherwise, we're not going to be delivering the high quality teaching because we're all staring at Excel spreadsheets or whatever. But I think it really comes back to that collaboration, so that we're not looking at it in isolation.
Thank you. We have another question from Dr. Shaw. Go ahead, Doctor. I think we have 10 more minutes. We can have one or two questions. Dr. Shaw, speak.
Can you hear
Dr.
me?
If you are online, please introduce yourself.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Oh, okay.
Thank you
Can
very
you hear
much.
me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, actually, thank you for your good presentation, Doctor. I want to know about the sustainability, which things or which actions should be taken care of, and I want to know the experience at your university. Sustainability.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those that there are different metric points. So some different ranking systems are looking at research on sustainability. Others are looking for the practical, how are you being sustainable within your school type data. All of those things are, if you go into whatever ranking system that your university is targeting or looking at that moment of time, you'll be able to see what metrics they're using to break that down. Just to also point out that some rankings haven't started to include things like sustainability in their systems yet, and I think we will start to see a shift towards it. But again, our approach to sustainability monitoring at Leicester comes back down to that collaborative approach. So there is a University of Leicester School of Business Sustainability Committee, of which has representation, again, a little bit like the accreditation ranking committee that I showcased earlier, has representatives from the schools, representatives from, so the academic disciplines, representatives from education, from research, from professional services, and we discuss a whole range of issues around sustainability, from those more practical things of what we're doing, but also what's going on in research, what's going on in our education, where are we delivering sustainable learning outcomes, where are we teaching specific aspects of sustainability within our curriculums, what research is being done. And that's minuted, it's reported on a monthly basis. We collect data at certain points to find out where in assessments we're talking about these things, for example. And those minutes are then kind of collated and used either as records, so that when we're filling out some of these forms, we've got evidence for things, but also so that it goes up to the university sustainability strategy committee, which we also have representatives sitting on, so that we can kind of, again, monitor and collect that information. I think previously we did this in a more ad hoc way. So, it would be every now and again, whoever was looking after sustainability at that moment in time would send out an email and ask for information back. Now we more routinely collect it, and we have a much better idea of what's going on across the schools. We don't really need to do that data collection in the same way, because we have it as a kind of as a matter of course. So again, it's about understanding what things matter. So for us, a lot of it's around our responsible business, responsible management education, so our PRME goals and initiatives, which is a bigger report that we fill in. And again, that's a collaboration between academics and professional services support. So these things are done in kind of tandem with other partners around the university as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will take one question on the online and one from physically here. Now I ask Dr. Ahmed to come on and ask this question.
Thank you, sir. I'm Professor Rahmat Alai, looking after the affair of quality assurance and development at International Islamic University, Islamabad. I have, sir, two questions, ma'am. The first one is, what I know in QS ranking, there are 25% of citations, 40% of survey, and 30% of statistic provided by the university. So what is the authenticity of the survey? Do you think that the 45% weightage is too high? And the number of citation is basically, if you know that the citation of paper only published in JCR or Scopus listed journal are considered in ranking. So what is the monopoly of JCR and Scopus? If a person is recently joined in institutions and he has a good number of citation, then is it the citation of the faculty member or citation of the institutions? So is there need of to rational this percentage of citation and survey and the
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it. I didn't necessarily say it too explicitly,
statistical
but
data? And should we?
Sorry, come.
Yeah, Dr. Ahmed, go ahead if you have another explanation with this. Otherwise,
No, sir.
I'll answer that bit. I'll answer
Okay.
that bit of the question then. I alluded to it in the presentation that there is a gamification to particularly the QS rankings, but arguably all of them, I think, to a certain extent, but particularly the QS. You know, you mentioned the survey aspect, and I think, you know, that is a networking game, and it's about, you know, being part of and playing that game. And I think the University of Leicester has changed its strategy on this because we realised we weren't hitting those metrics particularly well. We didn't have a Dean of Accreditation before kind of 2024. We didn't have as strong a in-house ability to control the strategy that we were doing because of the nature of how the setup in the university was. We've had a change in infrastructure, which allows us to have much more control over the strategy that we're putting out there. But yes, there is an element of, you know, that's a huge weighting that's on, you know, essentially a networking game and getting people to fill out surveys in the right way and getting your invites out before someone else does, because people get bored and just hit delete rather than filling out the survey in a meaningful way. So absolutely, I think that there is potentially a validity issue in some of that, and it's not necessarily a highly reliable metric. Nonetheless, it is the metric that we are left with and the metric that we are given and the metric that we have to use. And therefore, you know, it's about how do you devise a strategy that gives you a good chance of doing that in an effective way. And the same issue with the citations to a certain extent. There is, so in the UK higher education landscape, we have a research excellence framework, which again is about papers, publications, and the standards of those. And there's a huge issue about portability, about whether you as the individuals take your papers with you or whether your institution owns them if it's where you were when you were published. And the rules change and flip about on this quite a lot. And I think there's the same debate is in the QS and any rankings that uses citations as a metric. I don't think there's an easy answer to that, because institutionally and globally, that's always going to be a problem. You know, academics don't stay in the same departments. We move institutions, and it's a difficult balancing act about who owns the paper and where it sits.
now we have a last question. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Farooq from Bowdoin University, Multan, Pakistan. My short question, is accreditation mandatory for all programs in UK? Should it be voluntary or mandatory for academic institutions? Thank you.
Sorry, I missed part of your question. Is what mandatory? Sorry.
I mean, accreditation of programs in educational institution, is it mandatory in UK? My second part of this is, should it be mandatory or voluntary?
Okay.
Thank you.
So there are certain elements of our quality assurance that is a similar process to accreditation. So, you know, at a really high level basis, aligning to QAA benchmarks, aligning to OFS standards, isn't accreditation in a formal sense, but that is compulsory. It's a legal requirement for us to operate as a university and as an education provider. In terms of those discipline-specific accreditations, no, that's not mandatory, but there is a market advantage for it, for aligning to certain accreditations, particularly for certain for certain programs, so our accounting and finance programs and our human resource programs in particular, there is a huge market advantage, and students see it as being really, really valuable to have those accreditations, and therefore the vast majority of programs in the UK that are in those subject disciplines do have them. There are others where it is less. So in marketing, which is my personal academic discipline, we have CIM accreditation. I don't think it holds the same level as value as the CIPD accreditation just for the HRM students, but nonetheless we have it because we think it's a useful thing to align ourselves to, and we get resources from CIM. They collaborate with us on give our students certain opportunities. I don't think it needs to be mandatory because I think the market kind of decides on whether or not it's necessary or required for those types of programs. And I think it ultimately is a discipline specific thing. Certain disciplines, it is far more valuable than in others. But I think that, you know, as long as that baseline in quality, so in the UK, our QAA benchmarks are subject specific, which demonstrates, so all graduates, by the time they finish on a business management degree, must have this generic set of skills. And we need to demonstrate that our programs map to that. So from a quality assurance point of view, those quality assurance frameworks absolutely should be mandatory. But those kind of the more industry stamped of approval, not mandatory, but in certain disciplines are by default the kind of normative.
Okay, so you want, so somebody pressing me for the last question, then I will thank you.
No, one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, for excellent presentation. I just have a small question that what are the strategies of your university regarding enhancing the industrial income? I mean to share about the strategies of the university.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, diversifying income and diversifying our business operations is a really, really important part of, you know, university businesses, business as usual now. And, you know, we have we have very specific, you know, people working in this area. But, you know, in terms of income generation, it's about internationalization as a you know, as a university in the UK. How can we work with international partners to bring students, you know, to Leicester to be educated, whether that's in articulation agreements, whether that's in signposting from undergraduate to postgraduate study, whether it's about research collaboration, whether that's about you know, diversifying what we offer in terms of education as well. So we're moving into, you know, looking at what we can do as terms of executive education, in terms of program innovation, all of those type of things as a way of kind of driving our income strategy. But at the heart of it, it's all about what fits with us as a brand. So the University of Leicester School of Business as a brand has expertise in particular areas, and how do we make sure that we're using that to the best of our ability, and that we're not doing something that we actually don't have the expertise and the resource for, because we come back to that conversation in the rankings about reputation. And actually what really matters is having strong reputation in the areas that you've got strong expertise and a strong basis for reputation in. So really managing that process, and not just saying, yes, we'll do things that we don't actually have the capacity or the ability to do well, because obviously that's not going to help our income generation or our reputation management.
Okay, I think in the last, let's thank Dr. Jennifer to give us a dive in the understanding of the world ranking paradigm. And I'm really thankful. We gained a lot from you, and thanks a lot for giving the nitty-gritty of the understanding of the paradigm and the exercises you are following at this time. We are really thankful, and I and my colleagues like to give you a clap for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
If we are finished, thank you so much for joining me.